And sitting in here is Mr. Chang, I believe he's the owner's brother who will represent him. So I addressed those items that you just talked about um, pretty thoroughly.
You just why don't you just walk us through them one by one and just
Okay, so let's start. I didn't write them down, but the red roof and so on, we omitted that. And if we go to,
why don't we hold on a second?
Go ahead.
We're going to do this in an organized fashion. So you have if you don't have the list in front of you, we'll read it to you. So
I can say the first.
Yeah. Why don't you, we'll talk about the first one. You tell us where to look on the drawings, and we'll look at it, and we'll move on to the next. Okay.
Okay, that'll work.
So the first is just that the building improvements and character of the house. The second is project to return with architectural details. So let's dive into that one.
Okay, so on that item, I have a color and material board on sheet 10. We did change the roof color to a Georgetown gray that kind of matches the rest of the colors on the house. If you look on sheet 10, it's predominantly white trim on the windows and white stucco exterior. Then we have some James Hardy Arctic white siding on the I guess on the second floor. We put that on there, and it kind of matches, or it does match the existing siding on the lower floor. And if we look at the elevations on sheet 8, the before and after elevations, existing and proposed, I think it looked pretty nice. Actually, the elevations, the proper elevations are on sheet 5 if you want to look at those. There we go.
Okay. And I'll flip back to the minutes really quick. So restate the color scheme to address that. Someone has background. The applicant to indicate correct color of window trim to be included in design. It sounds like you addressed that in your previous comment. Mm-hmm. Consider improving landscaping along the streets by replacing dead grass with mulch.
Okay, so I moved all my landscaping to its own landscape sheet. There's a lot of landscaping already existing on the property, and so on sheet 12, I've kind of mapped out all the significant trees and bushes and landscaping and so on.
You know, the file that I downloaded from the box only goes to sheet 11.
Oh, it might have come in as a separate, its own file.
Okay, let me see if I can find it. I don't think it was. It might not have been included in. Yeah, we only have one file in there.
Oh, can I email it to you?
Yeah, or Leah, are you on? Are you able to allow him to share his screen, or is that? I'm not sure if that's allowed with consent.
I am. Give me just a sec. Tony, do you have the plans up on your computer?
I don't. I can get them up here.
Okay, awesome. Go ahead and get ready. I'll give you the ability to share your screen, okay?
You're going to have to get those documents to us, though. So if we're going to review them, you have to get them to us. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to. So why don't we do this? Why don't you send those over to Leah, and then Leah chime in when you have them. We're going to move to the next item. Because I don't want to waste any time on this if we can't get the documents in hand.
Yep, sounds good. All right, Tony, go ahead and email me whenever you're ready.
Okay.
And we'll come back to you. So as you guys know, you kind of jump around here on the consent. So, and then you're going to step down, Kaylee, for consent item number 3, right?
Number 2. So do we want to reorder it, or do you want to just go on to number 2?
No, that's fine. Let's go to number 3 now. Do we have our applicant here for Lightstone residence?
Yep.
Can you state your name for the record?
Philip Lightstone. I'm the owner of the property.
Very good. Okay, I have the plans up. Kaylee, you want to read off the minutes from the last one?
Sure. Right. Consent item 3 for Lightstone Residential Edition, at the request of Kristen Howell, an agent for Philip Lightstone. Final consent on approval, or final and consent approval for 742 gross square foot addition to an existing residence. 82 square feet in addition, and 660 feet is an ADU. The address is at 2729 Puesta del Sol. And there was no previous public comment, and the action, there was just action. There were no comments. So.
Comments. All right. So we're just looking to see if we have a complete document here, right?
Yeah. Josh, are you wanting me to share my screen or?
Yeah, you can share it for the public. I'm looking at it on another screen as well. So
Oh,
okay. You should probably pop it up there if you've got it.
Sorry, one moment.
So it looks like they've got a water efficient landscape worksheet that you can look at there too. This is basically, so.
Yeah, they have a separate landscaping set. I have the architecture set up first, so we can run through that. And the applicant's here.
What's the photograph about?
Last time we were on, one of the comments from before was to plant stuff in front of our fence along Puesta del Sol. So that was just showing what we planted.
So it looks like you got some lavender out there and some old some sages.
Some sage as well, yeah.
Yeah, looks like there's some aloe vera somewhere back there.
Yeah, that was existing.
Okay. And
your light fixtures looked night sky friendly. One question I had was, you have in the architecture set, you have kind of a previous conceptual landscape plan. Is that coordinated with the new separate landscape set?
So the new set is, yeah, we brought them on to basically kind of refine everything and make sure that it passed all the WELO standards, and just we had the appropriate irrigation system, as well as planting plan, hydro zones, all that good stuff.
Okay. One question I remember, because I was one of the ones that reviewed this last time, was on the landscape plan that's in the architecture set. You show, it says sandstone walls and curbs. Are those just like decorative, or are they retained?
They're existing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then also just a small thing on your WELO calculations. It calls out on the plan up to hydro zone 4, but the calculations only go to 3. So it's minor, but I'm not sure what hydro zone 4 is. Maybe it's just mulch or something, but it's right here for reference.
Yeah, that's mulch.
Okay. All right. Josh, do you want me to flip to any pages?
I'm just kind of looking through this. You can kind of just check it out. It's like got some good door and window details. Did you guys have a materials palette prepared? Is this the last page on page 12?
It should be on there.
You have a note on your Hinckley, and I don't know, whatever this is, this like large wall mount lantern. Is this a dark sky compliant?
Yes.
And does it note it as such?
Picture is dark sky compliant, yes.
Does it say that this light fixture will comply with the county dark sky ordinance somewhere on your drawings?
Right.
It says fixture is dark sky compliant. It doesn't quote the.
Okay, that's good enough. There a lot of people have different interpretations of that, but it appears to have a shielded light source. So I can't.
It's an LED up at the top.
Yeah.
Hooked into this. Okay.
Yeah. People are finally catching on to what that is. It's confusing for people.
Your wall light looks equally compatible. So.
All right. So there was no comments on the previous meeting, huh?
Not that I'm seeing. I remember when we reviewed it, we had some discussion, but there's no comments showing up on the.
Yeah, from my notes from last time, the build passed everything, and it was really the landscape plan that we were needing to finish along with the Willow calculations.
Right.
Okay.
So this is the first time we've actually seen the landscape plan, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
there was that colored one last time, but not the Willow calculations.
Well, I think this is ready to move for a final approval today. Pending, as long as Kayla, you think that their landscape looks appropriate.
Yeah, my only question was that hydro zone. So if it's just existing mulch, then I think I can approve it.
Okay, so what'll happen, guys, you're welcome to stick around for this, but when we get into our when we convene the board and get everybody get quorum, we'll bring this up as an item and recommend it for final approval, and the board will make a motion and vote. So if you want to stick around for that, you can. I don't, it's up to you. So,
but when do you think that will happen? Like
whenever we get to it.
Gotcha. Okay. So sometime before the end of day today.
Perfect. Probably within the next hour, I would say.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank
Very
you.
easily, but I don't know how. Depends on, someone could come in and start a bunch of discussion, but I don't think it's going to happen. Probably the next hour.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to move back. I'm just going to ask this. Leah, do you have a document for us to review for this, Tony?
Hi, Josh. Yes, I do. And it's already in the box file for you.
Look at you, rock and roll. See, I told you we were going to rock this thing.
And then, thank you, Tony. I also had it reviewed by the planner, so the planner gave her green light as well.
Great.
All right, look at that, government in action. Actually in action.
Hey.
I know, you guys don't get any breaks, sorry. All right. So I'm looking at his landscape plan. Can you see that, Caitlin?
It's in the box. Sorry, I didn't catch that. 1 second.
Okay. Looking good in the hood here. Nifty set of drawings you got here, man, with these cool little 3D nice elevation drawings too. It's really easy to see what you're doing here. Looking good. I was going to say, I think projects like this can kind of, I try to remember where the addition is, but you've definitely balanced this house up nice. It's not easy. It's usually where we get into trouble on these things, but I think it's pretty well stacked up there. And I thought it was clever and smart to do what you did on page 6 and just kind of the San Simeon Drive elevation and the Walnut Lane street elevation. I think these are really respectful kind of studies that think about it. Shows that you're really paying attention to the neighborhood and the balance of how this house sits in, because this is kind of a transitioning neighborhood. There's going to be more of this, so I think that's a great precedence. But I just wanted to commend the applicant for putting together, really good documentation. Because if you go to page 8 and look at the transformation from one to the next, it's a pretty big overhaul, and you've got everything here we need to look at. Details. Your color board looks good. I think this will be fine with the light colored windows and the light colored walls and all that, and the gray roof. So I think that's great. I think it looks fine. So I think the only other issue is the landscape, right?
Yeah, let me click back to, I haven't had a minute to look at it.
Architecturally, this looks ready to rock and roll though.
Oh. Sorry, my screen just went back. It doesn't look like, Tony, you guys do have the water calculations yet. Is that correct?
No, that landscape plan just represents what's already there. So we wanted to show that there's extensive landscaping, and it was just done by him over the years. So basically, just kind of mapping out what's there. We didn't do any water calculations.
Okay.
Those
and
are
will there be,
those are existing photos, or no? Those photos on the left are existing.
A couple of them are, downloaded
Mhm.
from the web as representative of what they're supposed to look like. Of course, they're not all bloomy at the same time.
So let's see. There's photos. So the photos are of the neighbors' properties, right? On the page 11. Those are kind of contextual photos, right?
Oh yeah. The photos are just kind of representative of the neighborhood.
So I'm gonna do something. What's the address again?
5109 San Simeon.
Just gonna look at this on Google Earth. I just want to look at what's there.
yeah, that's what I was trying to,
Yeah, I think these all,
5109.
I think on page 6, if I zoom in, I might be able to see a little bit of it. It's a little bit of lawn out front. So the previous comment about removing the turf in the parkways, is that what you're proposing, and just mulching in between the plants?
yeah, we took some of that paving out from the parkway and replanted it.
Okay. And so just to clarify, with the planting you're showing on the landscape sheet, that's just what's existing. Even if you downloaded the photos, it's just what's existing.
Right.
Okay.
So we did.
Is the house that we're looking at currently pink?
Um,
Am I looking at the right house?
yeah, it's been painted. It on those old photos is kind of a pink color.
Yeah, it's got pink trim and like a.
Yeah,
I can't read the address, but basically, so I'm looking at the existing corner. So I'm on Walnut and San Simeon, right?
Right.
And I'm facing northeast. So I'm looking at a picture. It's got a silver Chevy in the driveway, and the parkway is totally bare and devoid of any plants. It's basically dirt. The front walkway is dirt.
Yeah.
And the grass is dirt, and there's a bunch of really crappy looking plants everywhere. So you're saying you're keeping that can't be it.
What I'm showing on the screen right now is this. I'm showing the correct one, right?
Yeah, I'm not looking at the right one.
But it doesn't look like that anymore.
Let me see, 51. So I must be looking at the wrong house.
Sounds different. So this one looks like it has some of the
yeah, all that.
has a few little street trees. It's hard to tell because it's so zoomed out, and then a little bit of paving. Right. So I can kind of see what the comment was, to just mulch where there's dead patches.
Yeah,
that's not so.
What it looks like now.
This photo is not what it looks like right now.
Right. That's old.
Yeah, You should see. Go look at. I don't know when this Google Earth photo was taken, but this thing's got zero landscape appeal.
Yeah, I don't know, Tony. I think I would prefer that you come back with a landscape plan, just because it was a previous comment.
You want some recent photos of that then?
I think
landscape now. Like I said.
So is the current state of the house well landscaped?
Yes. It looks like what the landscape plan.
Can you go get some photos of the existing house and get them to Leah?
I could get them. I don't have them, here. I'd go out and get some.
I mean, do you know what's on Google Earth?
It's old.
Or Google Street View. Like, well, let me pull up. Let me share my screen to show you what I'm looking at. You tell me if this is I don't want to penalize you if this is not what we're looking at. But if you tell me that this is what we're looking at, then we can work with that. So hold on. If you think this is accurate of what's there, because basically what I understand you to say is that your assertion is that you want to maintain the existing landscape, right?
Right.
And that's okay. So what we need is some evidence of what the existing landscape looks like to match up to your floor plan.
Let me see what's up on Google Earth now. I'm not sure. I took these pictures when I first started this project. So that's been a while.
I mean, it's a significant development, so it definitely requires some attention to the landscaping, if not serious attention. So we're at, say again, 5109 Sandstone. Okay, I'll take over because I have to get to the next item anyway, right? So
Yeah, I closed my share. So
I'm going to share Google. So here's what I'm looking at, folks. Okay, so there she is.
Yeah, that's old.
Well, we're not looking at anything yet. Okay, so okay,
It's no longer there.
there's the house. That's what it looked like when they took it from that corner.
No, that's
So,
not the house.
and then you go over here, and this is what I was looking at before. That's the house.
No, that's not it.
that's the different.
That's not the house.
Yeah.
It's not the house.
That's, is that Walnut right there?
Yeah, Walnut
So
and San Simeon.
oh, there it is across the street. That
This one here?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Your site plan shows that the
no,
wait,
it's not our house either. That those tall pines there don't occur.
so is it this house?
There it is.
I mean, basically, what?
The far one.
This
To the right.
this one over here.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, that makes sense.
That makes more sense.
There we go. Now we're talking. Okay, here we go. Now we're good. Okay, this is it.
Yeah, so all that lawn has been replaced with some shrubs and all that paving there is gone. That brick paving.
Mhm.
It's more like what I showed you on the landscape plan. So those pictures are probably a couple years old from Google.
Okay, so I think so Kaylee, you want to give him a recommendation of what to come back with? And
Yeah, I think we do need some existing updated photos and make sure what you're showing on the
Yeah,
landscape.
all that's been improved on there. Yeah, it's an old photo.
okay, so that's not really.
It's all been improved on.
Can I download some or pick some current photos and email them in to you? I mean,
Yeah, you got it all ass though.
not today. I won't be able to get
No, I mean you could do it today, and if you get them to us, and Kaylee and I are,
Yeah.
you
we
know,
have kind
it
of a lot
confirms
of
what we're looking at. I mean, tell them what you really need, Kaylee, and then if you can get the photos to us, I mean, all you got to do is take if you have an iPhone, go over there right now, take a picture, and email it from your phone to Leah, and she'll put it in the file. And
Oh, good idea.
Yeah, if you're
Yeah.
truly not planning on doing any changes to the landscape, all we need is good photos, I think, so that we can see that. And are you planning to add any landscape lighting or anything like that?
No.
Okay. So I think all we need is accurate photos. And when you show it to us, you can show us where that your plant photos that's on your landscape sheet are justified with the photos you take.
Okay. All right, I'll go out there now.
so, yeah, do that in the next half hour, and we'll pull it back around. Look, as soon as you get something from him, just interrupt us. We'll detour and assemble and vote. So, okay, so Kylie has to. Sorry, is it Kylie or Kaylee?
Kaylee with an A, like Katie.
Kaylee.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I don't want to mispronounce your name.
No worries. I'll yeah.
Someday we'll meet in person.
Right. Someday.
Oh my God. Okay, so the next item is item C3. And we have our applicants here.
Can I interrupt for 1 second? It's Zoran Belbis. I think I was the first thing on the agenda, but I wrote down the wrong time. Do I have to reschedule the meeting?
No, So wait, which one was Kaylee? Sorry, I must be confused. Sorry.
I'm still here. I think you maybe item 1 after consent. So we haven't missed you, I don't think.
So so.
Or maybe not.
So Josh, you should see C2 right now.
We're in C2, sorry. Yeah, there you go. That's what happens when you stay up till 3 a.m. Okay. All right, the 4045 Marina Drive residential remodel in addition is the mighty John, the architect of legend, with us today.
On this one, it's actually Becker Studios. Daryl Becker and Megan Hart are here to present.
Yeah, no, I know you guys are here. I'm trying to find out, seeing if my John's here. Big John.
Got it.
Big John, the brash, bold architect on the board.
I see him. He's coming.
Here comes John.
Hi, John. Good morning. Do you mind doing consent for item number 2 on the consent calendar?
There's John. Good morning, buddy. You want to get in here and help me knock this out? All right.
Yeah, okay.
Leah, where do I find the minutes from the last meeting on this? I'm kind of...
Hi, Josh. It's all in the member copy agenda.
Yeah, okay. Somehow I was having trouble finding that. Member copy agenda. There it is. Okay, cool. I opened up the wrong one. Sorry. Okay, so we're on. This is give me a second, folks. Okay, this is the Stewart edition, and right, I got the right one.
Correct.
And we've got. Let me just get caught up here. Make sure I get this right. Name address.
What does it say?
Because I think.
Derek's office. Justin.
Okay, so here's the comments. All right, do you guys want to state your name for the record? We got our applicants here.
Okay.
Megan Hart and Daryl Becker.
Hi guys, welcome. We got John and Josh here doing consent for you today. So there's only 3 comments. I'll read them off. The majority of the board supports the east elevation as presented. Add 1 additional tree inside gate to mitigate the impact of the 2nd story addition from Marina Drive. And then the last was restudy entry gate design to be more consistent with the proposed style and materiality of the house. So let's see, why don't we go straight to the tree? What page do you guys want us to look at?
So that's going to be on the landscape sheet, and I'll actually let Justin start presenting for the tree, but we did add that tree. It is PDF page, hold on.
Should be LP1.
It's PDF page 33 is where the landscape sheet starts.
Oh, it's on the same set, sorry. 33, here we go. So take a second to load. Is that the right one?
Correct.
That's the irrigation. If you can go to the
Next page.
35.
35.
There you go.
All right. So on the that's the northwest corner of the house. We've added one Bohemia,
Okay.
and then as you come in the drive, we were asked to provide a tree blocking the view from the drive to the house. And I think what was commented on last time was to add an olive. The client requested a ficus, Benjaminiana, and so we've got that in place where the tree was requested. So those are the two.
You think that's a better choice than an olive?
Since we've already got the olives, I mean, the olive, I'm suspecting that the olive was recommended just because there was already olives proposed in other places.
You should just say yes. I'll defer to your expertise if you do.
I think that if you're looking if you're concerned with the view, I think the ficus is going to block that, is going to serve for the view better.
Okay. So you think that's a better choice?
That would be my answer.
Okay.
One more note is we did add additional trees to screen on the east elevation where some board members did have concerns regarding the architecture over there. The majority of the board was in support of the architecture, but we just thought that it would be a good idea to add additional tree screening.
Yeah, I know the spot. I mean, the east elevation is probably the most concerning just in terms of neighborhood view. And I thought you guys did, I think everybody thought you did a really nice job getting this thing balanced out. So I'm looking at the documentation here. And it looks like on A302, you guys did a kind of a simulation of that in your elevations to kind of show the screening, which is appreciated. I think that was it's a good, again, another good diagram just to kind of show that the study is there and you guys are paying attention to that. So thank you.
Exactly. Thank you.
All the details we'd ever want, and then some. Looks like I'm looking at, kind of recognize these light fixtures. They're all dark sky compliant. All the the lighting on the landscape plan appears to be dark sky compliant as well. Is that correct?
Correct.
Correct.
And then you got your hydrocalcs or whatever they call these, the irrigation plan. You got looking at the color board. I'm looking at another screen right now. Sorry, just it's faster. I'm looking at all this. I guess I should be flipping through this. Sorry. So I'll go backwards and go back up. So from 36. So it's a very complete application. I think there's, in my opinion, John, this is ready to go for final. If you don't have any
looks good to me. I have no comments on it.
Okay, so same as last, when we get our board convened here, I'll propose this for final approval and we'll vote. So if you guys want to stick around for that, it'll probably take place the next hour or so. But thanks for the good package and helping us get you through this quickly. I like the Jeeps in the drawing. That's cool. Nice little touch.
Thank you, Josh.
Got a whole fleet. Got a whole fleet of them.
Oh yeah, gotta get our 7.
Next time, a little bit more variety in the vehicles. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, it looks
Thank you,
nicely
guys.
done. It's fine.
All right. So we're gonna take a pause here, folks. We've got some board members on a site visit. I think if they haven't joined us already, and we'll wait for Chris Gilliland to get back, and we'll do is we'll convene the board as soon as that happens. So we'll just be kind of waiting. Oh, you're there. Cool. Yeah. So do we have quorum?
Did you do C3?
We're gonna. The applicant has to go take some pictures of the site to show us the landscaping that's out there. So he's going to send those in, and Leah's going to interrupt us. And if
that was C1,
yeah,
we did Lightstone. Which was C1, and then C3. We just needed more photos of the existing landscape.
All right, cool. So we can start.
He's gonna, yeah, we can get going here.
Okay, then let's do it. Let's bring the SBAR meeting of February 5th, 2021 to order, beginning with item number 1, public comment. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on an item that is not on today's agenda? If so, please raise your virtual hand and we'll give you a couple minutes to address the board. Okay, seeing no hands go up, we can move on to item number 2, which is the minutes from the last meeting of January 22nd, which should say 2021. It says 2020. So Josh, if you want to bring those up, please, we can roll through those.
You have those, right? You guys seen those?
Right date on it.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see.
I only got it halfway wrong.
Whoever's got the hot mic, make it cold.
Get off, kids.
Cool down your mic.
I think we can keep moving there, Josh. Consent was taken care of. Item number 1. There you go. Which one is this? Scooping it over. Anybody see anything on item 1?
On C of item 1, it says return with an arborist report. I believe they did have one. It just needed to be justified with the landscape plan, I believe.
Right, yeah, he did have one. It just wasn't coordinated with his own landscape plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can just remove the second part of that, remove the phrase return with arborist report. Everything else is fine. I believe they also returned with better photo documentation from the road. Or actually, no, we asked for more because the view went straight up the driveway and they kind of neglected to include that photo. So I think that should stay.
Well, that's what it says on E, right?
Yeah, it should stay.
It says that.
Yeah, exactly. So that should remain.
And then on letter F, we suggested sandstone or gabion walls. There's good example of gabion, big gabion retaining walls down the road.
And how about on item B? Is that too general? Reduce amount of paving, or is that reduce amount of paving around,
particularly around the guest house?
Yeah, and garage, or house, I guess, which has a garage.
Yeah, guest house garage.
So reduce amount of paving, comma, or semicolon, or colon, especially around guest house / garage.
Yeah.
May I suggest adding the word substantially? Because it was really a lot of paving. Substantially reduced, something like that.
And also specify what kind it is. Is it pervious or impervious, or do they say that? I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
I don't remember materials being called out.
Yeah,
it could be.
I mean, if it's pervious paving, then it's not so bad. But anyway, I remember too.
Actually,
there's a lot of it.
We were looking at the landscape plan, which did not have the reduced. So on his site plan, there was a lot more planting around. I think it just got missed on the landscape plan. So, reduced amount of paving and coordinate landscape plan with architectural site plan to match. All right, moving on. Number 2.
Just real quick, could you guys return to item 1E again? I want to make sure I didn't miss that one. Did you say they did provide better photo documentation?
No, they still need to.
Okay, so is there a change to that comment? Okay.
No change.
Okay, so I only changed items B and item F. Were there any other changes?
B, reduce amount of paving, especially around guest house and garage, and identify paving material. And match landscape plan to architectural site plan.
Okay, yeah, I've got all those. Okay. Thanks.
Item 2 almost seems like the comments are from one round of review before.
Yeah, because he had changed it.
Yeah, this project had a landscape and hardscape plan this time, and it matched the character of the garage to the house, if I remember right.
And I think also D, I think he did show where the couple to DG
Yeah,
was
I think
also, right? Yeah.
These are old comments.
Yeah.
So,
Leah or Joe, can you find the latest comments and then we'll come back to this one, please?
yeah, I think there were some the architectural details had some drafting errors, but I don't remember any other comment on that, on the project.
I think we were pleased, and D through E were addressed. So
and didn't we let him go for final? Oh, whoops! Does it say that?
Yeah, for final. That's it. So Leah, Joe, can you guys look back on this one, please, and let us know?
Yes,
if
I'll see. Yeah, I'll see what I have, and I will.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
We'll move on to item 3 for now, then.
Did we want to have any extra detail on item D of 3? Or just study it? Like, Alex, you had some input on it.
Well, for one thing, use consistency, right?
Yeah. On B.
No, I think that's.
Or that they are, ensure that they are consistent.
Yeah. Yeah, because then we have on C, we talked about the fact that they have this big gable on the east and west, and they have the small windows low, so they look really weird. So that's why we asked them to put something on the top, on the like a gable detailed gable window or something like, I don't know. I think it's close enough.
Okay. So D, study central north elevation. That's not very specific.
Yeah, that was that big window in the gable that she was really liking that.
Okay, so how about restudy central element of the north elevation? Consider change of material, which I remember we said that.
Yeah, that's good.
So restudy central element of north elevation, period. Consider change of material.
Okay, number 4. I think item A, we should just put if possible.
So by possible, you mean like acceptable to the Public Works Department or something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I didn't see any reason why they would not, I mean.
Yeah, unless a certain amount of parking required, I don't know, but yeah, you're right.
So how about increased size of landscape bulbouts along street unless specifically directed by Public Works? Something like that, something more, because if you put, if possible, it's so wishy-washy, it's impossible to, right? Something like that, unless specifically direct required by Public Works or something like that.
Yeah, I like that. So item A on 5, stagger planting of, I think it was pepper trees. So they're not so linear. And then find ways to reduce paving on main terrace. Okay, anything else on 5? Number 6.
What was the change on 5A?
5A.
Pepper trees?
Yeah, pepper trees.
Oh, pepper trees. Okay, got it.
On item 6, letter B, do you remember where the discussion of more gables, because it was very low. It had quite a few gables, right?
No, I think we asked for, I think you and I agree that in a couple of locations, using gables instead of hips would really add more interest and make it like a,
Right. So should we mention that specifically? So consider gables rather than hips, or?
Well,
or is it, you think it's fine the way it is?
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, you're right. It's kind of confusing. Okay. Consider switching some gables to some hip roofs to gables to add interest.
Right.
For example, over the kitchen or family room.
Yeah, because that was a big prominent hip that seemed out of character. And then on letter
which letter was that?
B.
B. Okay. Can you guys repeat that comment again? Consider use.
Alex, can you repeat that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Consider switching some of the hip roofs to gables to add interest. And then keep the second sentence.
And then, yeah, keep the second sentence. And then on item C, consider adding wood element around fenestration.
Yeah, that was an odd tower they had in there, right?
Yeah, I mean, should we mention like a mirador? You know, that it be, if it's going to have that much glass and all those angles, that it become a wood element and not try to have stucco in those small.
I mean, you can put like a mirador and let you know, let them figure it out.
Yeah. So consider adding wood element around windows like a mirador.
Okay,
I got that.
You good, Joe?
Yep.
Okay, item E, just not really a sentence. So just say color should be earth toned and muted or something like that. It's just kind of strange the way it is.
Oh, and F, I think F is I think is the you know the I think they're proposing what the what is it called, the change of colors in the
the variegated, or
yeah, like, you know, I'm not sure how the rest of the board feels, but I have always been, you know, I guess it's been my time on the Landmarks Commission influenced my thoughts, but, you know, like Santa Barbara has one type of roof, which is the same, is one color. It's not this variegated thing, you know, that.
Yeah, I agree, Alex. So maybe study use of roofing material to be consistent with Santa Barbara's style, comma, one color.
Yeah, which is terracotta, right? Like it's.
Yeah.
Okay, I got that.
Hang on, Josh. We need to go back up to those, on those continuation of number 6. There you go. So number H, capstone on entry gate should have detail that finishes shape. Does anybody know what that means?
Yeah, that because they were flat topped, they should have kind of a low pyramidal
Okay.
completion.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
That finishes shape such as a pyramid shape or such as pyramid like.
You just something so it isn't flat. It looks unfinished. I remember he did the same thing on one of the other jobs, and we called that out also.
I mean, like it should have some slope, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or you know, it doesn't have to be a 45-degree, but just you know, something to keep the birds off, I guess. But it, you know, on J, you know, study design of entry elevation on west. I mean, that's a really important item. I think that we were pretty much all feeling that it looks like a slot rather than an entry door or an entry space. I wonder if that could be worded better.
Well, I think instead of study could be restudy. Right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Same with L, restudy patio layout and back. Okay, number 7.
Was there any specific direction on the story poles on this project in terms of how much to story pole or what to story pole? On
Well,
item
I think that is it the garage that blocks the view from the neighbor across the street? I mean, that is to the north.
Yeah, that's the third story, and then
Yeah.
they should pole out on the ocean side as well.
Yeah. So item F should be part of item B because site visit with story poles, but we won't be able to go into the neighbors' back decks. So the idea was for them to either have the neighbors take photos or for them to take photos from those decks. So site visit with story poles is required. Return with or provide photos from east and west neighboring properties.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think also
Yeah.
we also wanted pictures of those properties. I don't think we had them very well. Am I wrong? Or
Yeah.
I remember the lack of context. I think I think we all thought it was a beautiful design, but not enough information about the context. That's why we asked them to draw the structures on each side.
Yeah, that letter C is good with context. Include existing structures on adjacent parcels and site plan elevations and site sections.
And we should add photos.
Yeah.
Right, that's what F was, because I think we need more photos of that.
Yeah. So I think we could incorporate that into, like you said, Alex, incorporate that into C, maybe just add photos to that list.
Okay.
And move that F as described up to B. Does that make sense, Joe?
It does. Yeah, I've got that.
Okay.
Could we add on letter A, project appears well designed and architectural style is appropriate?
Yeah.
Yep.
Got it.
Okay, item 9.
Yeah, I think I made some comments about the rake and the, yeah, that's right. Restudy rake detail, consider using a flash, what is it called? What's it called? The last rafter? I forget. The barger rafter, right? Consider using a barger rafter, which is basically, flash to the wall.
How do you spell that? It's a barger rafter?
Barger.
Okay, got it. Sounds good.
Consider a barger rafter, next to the wall.
Actually, I think it's barge with no R at the end. Barge.
Oh, barge rafter. Okay.
Okay, anything else on number 9? All right.
Wait. See, I think that was not. I don't think it was unanimous. I thought some of us liked the approach, and
some of us didn't.
See, yeah, right. I know some. I understand, but it's a key to the design. If we don't accept that, I think we need to make it clear. I mean, we need to give direction one way or the other, and
Yeah, so I think we are split on that. So maybe we should say we're split.
Well, I mean, the thing of it is that it didn't look like it was very well done. I mean, integrating in the building is true. I don't know how he's going to do that, but it just seems like it's added on. I don't object to changing the roof style to extend, to bring in the view from the north, I guess it is. And, but it's just an awkward shape. I think the neighbors are not going to be happy about that.
All right, let's not give this thing a second review. Let's get the minutes.
Yeah, I think the item A addresses the sort of awkwardness of it, but I think maybe we should put for item C, study sloping roof to integrate better into building. One member feels that as designed, it appears awkward and doesn't match existing.
Yeah. Because, I mean, they can certainly stick with their concept, but maybe improve the way they integrate it. Yeah, by studying it more.
Yeah, I agree with that. If we could say that here, does it say it?
I think when we study sloping roof to better integrate into building, and as one member feels that as designed, it appears awkward and doesn't match existing. So study ways to better integrate. That's kind of what we're saying.
Remember, you get to see it again.
Yeah. Does that work for you, John?
Yeah, it's better.
I mean, did we suggest to change materials of that central element or not? I forgot.
We could say call John if you want some ideas.
Well, and also, he could have more glass there. I think he had it, it would make more sense if it was glazed all the way to the top, instead of,
Yeah,
put up a wall under there and then put windows in it.
That's item A. I mean, maybe A and C need to go one right after the other and then put B last, because those are part of the same concern, that the windows aren't strong enough for that big north wall, that he could develop it further.
I think C should be first, then A, then B.
Oh, there you go.
because the C is kind of a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got that.
Okay, good. Do we have an update on which item was that? Number 3?
That was item 2.
Yeah.
So item 2, I looked and I wasn't able to find anything in my notes. I know from that hearing, I had a couple copies open so it's possible that this is one that I dismissed and that I lost the comments. So if this is one that was told to return for preliminary and final, and it sounds like, so what we could do is, if there are ones on here that you know that are no longer valid, we could just remove those, and then I could go through and listen to the recording to see if there's anything else that we need to add.
That sounds good, Joe.
It's up to you guys.
Yeah, I think we can eliminate B through E.
Okay, so why don't we just change A to read, return with complete architectural details, and then just leave it alone. Just don't.
Yeah, don't start
make
talking
a good point about errors or anything. We don't need to say that.
Does anybody remember? Did he have a landscape?
Did. Yeah.
Did, Rob Fowler's. Okay. It was well detailed.
Okay.
So I think we were happy with it, aside from the details having errors.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then if you're happy with these as is, then you could approve the minutes now, and I wouldn't have to go through and re-listen. So I'm happy to do whatever you guys would prefer.
I think you might still need to go re-listen, but you can remove B through E and then change A as was just described.
I think we're
okay.
Good. Chris,
yeah, I think we're okay.
Yeah, I don't think you need to go listen to.
Okay, unless you want to. I mean, the weekend's coming up, so.
Yeah. Go to a different room and listen.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the revised minutes.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so moving on. Item number 3, SBAR members informational briefings. Anyone have anything to share? Oh,
yes,
I believe.
I think we're gonna have a new member, at least somebody who applied.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it was the same person that applied and then unapplied and now has applied again. So we're excited about that. Kaylee, do you want to?
Can I just ask a question? What happened with the site visit at the slow cultivation? How many people went?
Oh, I did.
Okay, good, because I was put off by the notification that there were COVID positive.
Yeah, me too. I didn't go.
Yeah, and I found that to be disturbing that came up after everything was scheduled.
Yeah, I didn't read that until after I went.
I think I read it after also.
Yeah, I read that at the last minute. I was fully planning to go, and I did not appreciate that because that was known before everything was scheduled.
Well, they were pretty good about that, about the distance and the pens to sign.
Yeah, it was all outside.
They were good. I mean, they had their protocols were really excellent. So.
Well, that's good. But it kept me from going, unfortunately.
Okay, good to know. All right, anything else from anyone?
I can announce I'll be on maternity leave for probably May and June and maybe the beginning of July. So
wow, congratulations.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah.
Through Zoom, there's no chance anyone realized, so.
Where are you going to be?
What was that?
Kaylee, where are you going to be?
She's having a baby.
I'm having a baby at the very end of April.
For heaven's sake.
Well, we only see you from the neck up, so we have to tell.
Yeah. Leah said that it's the first SBAR baby, so.
Oh.
You know, if it's a boy, John is a very good name.
It is a boy, and my first son's middle name is John. So.
Beat you to it.
Yeah.
That's all right. You
All
can
right.
go with Josh. That's fine.
Okay, good. Thanks. Good job, Kaylee.
Good job. We approve. All those in favor? Of,
So it's actually
of the name-
perfect
all
timing
those
then.
in favor? I think a motion that Kylie names her son Josh. All those, anybody want to second that?
Nay. Alrighty, let's move on. We're getting late here. Item number 4, staff update.
I would no major updates from me. The only thing that I'll share is that we recently, for those of you submitting applications, the county uses box.com as our method for transferring documents. And when folks are uploading, if they're having any troubles with that, we've put some guidance documents and YouTube links on our homepage. So if anyone's struggling with that, they're welcome to check those out as a resource. And that's all I have today.
No baby for you, Joe. Okay, fine. Okay, thank you. Item number 5, consent agenda.
And Mr. Chair, sorry to interrupt, but we do have the photos for C1.
Okay.
All right. Shall we? Let's see. Let me see if I can dig these out. Get everybody. I guess Chris, John, and who we got here? Valerie, and I'm opening this. You guys can and Alex take a couple seconds here while Kaylee and I jump back into the consent. If you guys want to get a water or something. So which one was it? It was Chang, right?
Yes, Chang.
New photos. Okay. Make sure you can see these, Kylie. Kaylee, son of Josh. Somebody in there. Let's see. It's a big one here. That's anticlimactic.
Yeah, I think they should provide a landscape plan.
There's a shrub right
Yeah, I
there.
mean, there's some nice trees there. No, well, look, I'd say the parkway looks fine.
Yeah, and that was what the
small trees. Yeah, so that's an improvement.
Well, sorry to interrupt, but I don't know what those trees are, but there's a lot of them, and I don't know if that's a designated street tree, but it should be identified.
He identifies
Yeah, I think
it.
that.
He did have a landscape that it was a little confusing, but he had a landscape plan that was the existing conditions landscape plan that he included a plant palette of what was there.
Sorry, I'm digressing anyway.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to do is just kind of compare what's there to what's on the site plan as an existing, and just kind of understand the disposition of these. So there's like this bonsai and some kind of base planning against the house, and then I don't know if anybody can. I can't really see what the hell's going on here, but it looks like a bunch of cobble. And there's definitely some landscape there. It's not the lawn's been. It kind of looks like it's choking. You want to keep going, Kaylee?
I think what they did, I think they did address what looked like Lori's comment previously, but they haven't really addressed the overall landscape of the front yard. So I'm not sure what our purview is there if it wasn't in a previous comment, since I wasn't on the board.
So Lori reviewed this the last time we saw it?
It looked like it was her, I think in the comments, it was her comment about the parkway, which makes sense. And it looks like they addressed that to some extent, but the front yard has not. I don't know.
Okay, so we're gonna have this item come back for consent with some improvements to the landscape plan. So can you give some notes to Joe here, Kaylee, or what you want?
All right. Provide landscape improvements to be proposed for the front yard. Parkway, previous parkway comments have been addressed.
Yeah, I mean, I think one other way we could look at this is what's being proposed on this plan actually potentially looks fine. It just needs to be noted that these, like, I think instead of calling these out as existing,
he does have the cherry trees he calls out, and there is lawn there. It's just, it might be an irrigation issue. And they have that little white plastic fence along the Walnut Lane that I don't know if that's.
Let's try. We got to bring this guy back on consent. We got to be really specific here. So let's do our best here. What can you? So you want him to return with a landscape plan. You're okay with the treatment of the parkway planter at this point. So it's
at this point, yeah. So for the front yard, return with plan for landscape improvements to front yard. Any planting revisions will require MWILO calculations, but yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna have this item come back on consent in the next calendar with those comments. So going back to the previous C1, so that was the Chang addition. Kaylee had to step down for the Stewart addition, so John and I reviewed that. I find it's an exceptionally well done application. Looks great. Everything we asked for. So I like to make a motion for final approval for the Stewart addition.
Okay, and what happened with C3 again?
We were ready to approve that for final as well.
Just gonna get to that next.
Okay.
So anybody want to second that?
I second it.
We'll make a motion for all three.
Okay. Well, one of them. Okay. So then I'll make a motion for approval of the Lightstone residential addition as submitted.
I'd second it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion carries. Very good. Thank you. Then we can now move on to item number 1, which was a site visit, which is there anyone that did not see the story polls for the Chapman new single family dwelling in Hope Ranch? Everyone was able to make it out either this week or to this morning. Okay, very good. Thank you. So then this is now item number 2. So thanks for your patience. This is the Chapman new single family dwelling. This is for further conceptual review of a new 6,786 square foot residence and 1,390 square foot garage and storage with maximum height of 28 feet from existing grade on a currently vacant property located on Via Tranquilla. Do we have the applicant here with us, Tom?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. How would you like to do this, Tom? Do you want to go through these one by one, these comments, or do you want me to read them and then?
Yeah, let's, why don't you read them? And some of them don't really require incorporation into my presentation, but I've got a copy of it here too, and I'll go through and hit the ones as I present.
Sounds good. So there are many comments. There are M number of comments, so I'll just read through those. Architectural style and orientation of structure is appropriate. Story polls and site visit required. One board member feels that mass, bulk, and scale is appropriate to site. Remaining members reserve comment on mass, bulk, and scale until after site visit with story polls. Properly document site plans and site sections to illustrate height restrictions. Study reshaping and softening of retaining walls and back. Work with site retaining walls to make them more natural, i.e. step down block, natural boulders with planting. F, provide complete site survey showing trees, critical root zones, and associated canopy and other significant elements of the existing site. Provide photo sims of house showing proposed vegetative screening along Via Tranquilla to get sense of oak canopy, hedge, and fence. Provide additional 3D images. H, study width of driveway should be narrowed to allow for protection of existing oaks. Fire access is an important question to be resolved. Provide additional softening of house by separating driveway and lower court from structure. Study preservation of oaks. J, further develop elevations and provide additional details. K, entry tower is a large form, provide detailing, return with straight views of all building elevations, including entry tower. L, some board members feel the stone chimney above the garage appears to be floating, restudy design of chimney over garage on east elevation. Lastly, show neighboring structures on plans. So take it away, Tom, whenever you're ready.
Hey, great. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. So I'm just going to do just a quick recap of where this project was and its history. So we went to Hope Ranch back in April. They shared us their concerns on the project. We then went to your board in May and received these comments, which were very similar to Hope Ranch's comments. We received our planner letter shortly after that in June, and they had some comments that needed addressing too. So we've gone through with this iteration and handled Hope Ranch, your comments, and our planner, Delaney Roney's comments. And then we went back to Hope Ranch then in October with the set of drawings that you're going to see here. And they gave it conceptual approval without any conditions. They were happy with the project at that point. And so here we are now. So I'm going to go through the plans in order and see if I'm going to be bouncing around a little bit to the response on your comments from your last meeting, but let's give it a shot. So on the cover sheet here, the grading's gone down significantly from the original submittal. We lost about 800 cubic yards. We repositioned the house, pushed it back and raised it and reduced the driveway. And there's a number of things I'll point out on the site plan when we get there. So maybe we can move to the next sheet.
Tom?
Yes.
It looks like we're having some issues on our end. Do you happen to have the plans open on your screen?
I can open them up, yes.
Or I can open them, Leah, too. I think I have them downloaded, I think.
Yeah, I have them also. So Josh is having trouble.
It seems like it. Josh, looks like you're struggling over there.
You okay, buddy?
Yeah. What was okay, here it's coming in now.
Right.
I think I just had an internet poo.
Oh, okay. All right, continue. Sorry for the interruption.
No problem. Okay, yeah, so this is the existing site survey. We can come back to that for reference. Next page. And then these are the site photos. We can come back to that. Let's move to the Arborist. I think that might be the next. That's our slope study. This slope study was done. We had comments with the county, and so we studied the placement and we looked at changing the walls and the heights of the walls to respond to the grading concerns, and we made changes and we received positive feedback from our planner to where the siting and the grading and location is supported by their two concerns. One was the driveway seemed excessive from our staff letter, and the other one was show how the grading is consistent with the policy and with the neighboring projects, as this is an infill. So I can get into that, but we made the changes and we have the support now of our planner in terms of those sensitivities. Next slide. So, okay, this is our revised arborist report. So there was a comment from your board and Hope Ranch as well, and everybody, do the best that we can to, to save these trees. And so what we've done is we've revised the driveway. We took the hammerhead and we flipped it back up into the hill, and that helped out quite a bit. We narrowed the driveway. We eliminated the circle around that oak tree to just one side. So we reduced the size of the driveway, and as a result, we only have one impacted tree number 5. And so we're going to mitigate that, but we have a good report for the remaining trees on the site. And I can come back to this if there's any questions on that. What we also did was we took the driveway and moved it closer to the entry of the driveway, closer to the structure. Okay, next slide. Okay, maybe the next slide. We're getting into the landscaping. I think what we'll do is come back and touch on the landscaping towards the end. Our landscape architect couldn't make it today, and so I'm going to do my best to go through this, but maybe we can come back to the landscaping portion of it after I get through the architectural portion. So we can go a few slides ahead here. Okay, the site plan. So the things that have changed, we developed the bridle path along Via Tranquilla with Hope Ranch had a lot of input on that. And so we established a proper hedge material, which I'll get into on the landscape plan. We've got carefully plotted where that trail is going to go and adjusted the entry to the site closer to the residents further north. We've eliminated the ADU scope of work completely. And as I mentioned, we took the hammerhead and flipped it around. We did meet with the fire department. They were not in favor of trying to defend this structure from Via Tranquilla. So they did require us to show an on-site hammerhead. We eliminated the turnaround on the oak tree, which saved that nice tree right that we're featuring at the entry of the structure. The building was moved about 10 feet back into the hill and it was elevated a few feet. And that in combination with bringing the retaining wall closer to the building and changing the shape of the retaining wall to be more organic before it was very rectilinear. And then and that reduced the retaining wall also. So we've got, you know, that wall behind the residence consists of sort of two steps. It's got a 4-foot high first step of stone, and then it has plantings with, I think, a lot of lantana, and then the wall behind that is 6 feet. And this is more sensitive than some of the other projects we were looking at when it came to the compatibility with the county. And I did include, if we need to, some aerial studies of the neighboring project and how they handled the hill. They kind of scalped it down from a higher level, and we're not going to do that. We're going to try to maintain the native grade up to the back of that wall for the most part, but that'll come up in the sections. And we've got the height calculations on this sheet that have been done in detail as that was requested also from the board. We've got the residents on Revit model. I know there was a comment to use the model to help study the trees. We tried that. It was really hard to get a good visual of it. So we incorporated those trees in one of the elevations and how it relates to the bridle path. And this property is right next to the Hope Ranch headquarters, and they had a good chance to really take that in there and see how it was handled. So we've worked with them extensively on you know, preserving the oaks and how they relate to the bridle path and trying to create that equestrian experience through without a huge impact of this new residence. So I think that's probably it for the site plan. Let's move to the next slide. So the site section. So this shows how we're handling the hill. So we've raised the building, moved it back, and we think we struck a good elevation for the main level. The understory garage comes out pretty close to grade. The driveway that we've got, the Via Tranquilla side of the driveway is very sympathetic to the existing grade. It's only 2 feet above existing grade as it makes its way into the property and then moves and approaches the residence. When it hits the garage, you can see that's section 2 there. It's pretty much right at grade. And as that backup area extends closer to Via Tranquilla, it drops off a little more, 3 to 4 feet. But this illustrates here how we're handling the positioning, the new positioning of the residence. Next slide, please. And then this shows the understory has been reduced. It did extend further back in, but this is just the lowest level that meets grade on that north side of the property. Next slide. And the main level, so this, for the most part, runs parallel with the topos, of course. It's got a covered terrace on that north side, a one-story element. So this structure is at the 25-foot setback to the north, and then the second story element is about 45 feet from that property line that steps back, and as that was clear to see on the story poles. But this floor plan got revised a bit, but just basically from the client's programmatic perspective. Next slide. And then the upper level is steps back in from most all sides. And there was a comment on the tower. I thought it was a really good comment. The tower was 18 feet wide and it looked bulky. So we reduced that down to 16 feet in width. And I think it works much better with the massing around the house. So that worked out well. And then as you can see from that north side, the second story has been pulled back a good 25 feet or 20 feet from the edge of that first story roof. Next slide, please. And then this is just the roof plan. And I think we've got also the story pole plan, which can be easily accounted for this if there's any questions on that. Next slide. So the north elevation, this is the elevation that faces the neighbor to the north. And you can get a feeling on where the existing grade is. The grade of the main level here is pretty close to what they've got there. Our setbacks on our side are pretty much what they've got. They set back the second story like we're doing it. The owner I know has been in contact with them, and there's an acceptance of what we're doing. Let's see, the south elevation, this elevation is a good visual on how that bridle path is. So this is shows where the fence would be. That wall there is actually back at the far corner of the garage. So that elevation is actually down to about 2 feet along the entire run of this new driveway. And then we've got a stone, which would be basically around the driveway, the low walls would be sandstone. And then those would come up and connect with the understory of the house as it meets the driveway. And the retaining walls behind the residence, and you can see that in the north elevation up there on the top of the page, the first 4-foot wall would be stone, and then the 6 foot behind that would be the plaster, and we'd get some plantings to kind of help reduce the impact of those, but they're predominantly not visible from the residents on the public side. Next slide. The east elevation, this is the garage that comes out to grade there, and then there's the oak tree to the left, which now has just the driveway around one side of it. The tower it's skewed to you, but even on this angle, it looks better and it seems to work better. We did study the fireplace above the garage. Received a comment, and it was someone had commented that it looked bulky. We looked at it. It works in my mind. It maintains the plaster color and just really reveals itself as a chimney with a shadow line across the white facade. But I couldn't come up with anything to change that I thought looked better. But I'll be interested to hear comments. And then we've got the west elevation. And that is really behind the building. So the dashed line there shows where that existing grade would be. But this is fine. These are some sections that are illustrating how we're handling the specifics. We've developed it a bit. Next slide. And then again, more sections. gives a good idea of how the grades are working and the plate heights. Next slide. Yeah, just more sections. There's the garage on the bottom section there, and then the main entry. It steps up from that driveway. We kept the driveway low around that oak tree, and then we were stepping up significantly from that elevation up into the house to preserve that critical root area. Next slide. And then again, just more sections. We can move to the next slide. And then we've got, these are the various eaves. I think they were asked. We've developed the different eave conditions around the house. There are a few different types. We've got the exposed wood rafters in some areas, especially where we have the covered terrace conditions. And then we've got some where we just have the exposed wood rafters, and we have the struck eaves, and then we have a hierarchy of a special eave around the tower. So, and then the last page in the architectural, we're just starting to do window details. They're not quite there yet. We're setting the windows back to the inside face of stud and rolling the plaster into the windows. And I don't think that's what we've got here, but we're getting there. So let's go back to the landscape plan. I'll try my best. Amy couldn't be here today. And I'll point out some of the landscape areas that are important to me and sensitive to Hope Branch and probably yourself. And then I don't know a lot of the plans, but we'll see how I do. So the bigger topics were, to provide a nice hedge between the bridle path and the property. And there's a current chain link fence there. And so we're basically going to use the position of that fence as our baseline. And Amy's got a sort of an undulating, alternating combination of a Texas cherry and a California privet that kind of staggers its way along that trail edge. And then there's the palette. There's a number of fruit trees in there. The hillside behind the house has got I believe there is lavender. Is it lavender? Hold on, let me take a look. I think Chris has got a full-size set of this and can probably help me with it when it comes to comments. Yeah. So we've got some.
I don't think we need to do very specific plans, Tom. I think we've both kind of reviewed this, so I don't think you need to suffer through trying to.
Oh, yeah. That's music to my ears, Chris. Thank you. Okay, so. Having said that, I can, if there are any questions on the landscape, maybe I can use Chris as a sounding board on this. But anyway, so I think that's kind of it. I'm just looking through my notes here to see if there were any of your comments from the last meeting that I did not address.
Neighboring structures on plans. I don't know if that made it.
Yeah, so the neighboring structures, I submitted what we worked on with Hope Branch, and there's a modeling that went all the way around the existing house and showed basically how that existing house there, that was really the house that really has any proximity to what we're doing. Yeah. And so those we do have here to look at, but I think if you made a site visit, you got a really good feeling of where that house was. But I've got these 3D images that I can pull up. And we can go through them to kind of see how that, the buffer is between that house and their property line and how ours would interact with it.
Okay, I think that covers just about everything. Is there something you wanted to share? 3D, you said, some photos or?
Yeah, if we've got it, I sent it It's probably in the file here. Yes, yeah. These are where this is off Bing. So this is a three-dimensional. There's the images. If we scroll up, maybe to the next image. Yeah, this is a really good shot here. So that it's easy to see where the property line is, and then that's the 25-foot setback between the existing neighboring home, and that grade is very close to what our main grade will be. And then beyond that, they step back about 20 feet to their second floor. And so our house, our residence is really right in a line with that. And we've kind of used the same topos to extend the development of what we're showing. And next slide. And so this shows see the scalp behind that residence there. So what they did was they created a wall, and then they created this cut slope that went down and kind of exposed the hillside a bit. And we looked at that, and that actually was something we considered, but we kept the grade coming right down to where our walls are. Our walls behind our residence are pretty close to where that major demarcation is, right at the 549 number. Next slide. So yeah, this slide is good. So that kind of shows the way that was kind of stepped up gently down below, but it then created that big scalp up high on the hillside. So we increased our wall a little bit up in behind the building higher so that we didn't have to do that. But this was a good exercise in looking at the compatibility of how this hillside was working with the neighboring residences. But so that I think is a good illustration of the neighboring residents. On the south side, we've got the Hope Branch Association, and they've got the parking lot there and some equipment. So there was, and our building envelope is well away from that south side. It's really the only structure it has any impact on would be this one. But I'm happy to answer any questions on this topic, as we've had a lot of discussions in previous meetings about it. I think that'll do it. So
good. All right, thank you, Tom. Let us bring it to the board for questions. Kaylee, do you have questions?
No questions, comments.
Okay, Mr. Verdiak?
No, I have no questions.
Okay, Ms. Frauscher?
Yeah, I have one question. What's the grade difference between the backup area in front of the garage and the land beyond it? It actually would have been nice for the site section to go to the road so that you could see the bridle path and see it. The site section just stops in that back out area of the garage. So is there a wall there?
So the backup area behind our garage, it hits a low wall. That wall varies from 2 to 6 feet as it approaches the neighboring property, and then it goes to 0. So basically, that backup driveway, if it's probably 28 feet deep, so half of that depth hits existing grade. If that answers your question, Valerie.
Right. So where would the 6 foot portion be? Is it closest to the neighbor or back or?
Yeah, it's the northeast corner. So it would be the corner. If we could go to the site plan, it shows it there. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry about that. It's 6 inches. So it goes, when it hits that corner, it hits grade. It touches grade. Let's zoom in on the A1.1 sheet. I think it's got the heights called out.
It's pretty low the whole way along there. Right?
Yeah. So if we go to the A1.1 sheet and zoom in on that northeast corner, it's pretty clear. So that's the landscape plan.
Okay, that's fine. And then my other question was, you mentioned that you have to remove tree number 5. Which one's tree number 5?
Yeah, so tree number 5, if we zoom in, let's start with the northeast corner a little over to the right. the parking area. And if we zoom, move it, go up the page a bit, up the page, we want to look at that. Yeah, right up in there. That's good. So so you see where the driveway turns and it turns into the parking area? Yeah, along that line, it goes from 3 feet to 2 feet to 6 inches. So it hits grade right as that parking area extends to the northerly property line.
Uh-huh.
And so that low wall, so it goes, as it wraps its way around 3 feet, there is the maximum height. And as it comes around the existing oak tree, the 20-inch oak tree, it's about 2 feet and it maintains that 2 foot. Yep, right through there. And it maintains that 2 feet all the way to the entry gate where it goes to 0.
Uh-huh. And then where's tree number 5?
Yeah, so, okay, pan down the sheet. Let's look down on the same drawing. So if we can kind of, yep, we're getting there. Okay, right there, that's good. So you can see where it says remove 14-inch oak. So that tree has been designated by the arborist. It's going to be impacted, so we're going to mitigate for it. We're going to keep it anyway to see if it can survive. It might, but that's our impacted one. You see how the turnout there has been flipped to the upside. That significantly helped the arborist.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, what it helps is if you pan to the right, you see that there's a very nice 3D thing that is very useful. You keep going. To the other side, no, it's on the right side of the page. Yeah,
it's the lower right hand corner of the sheet.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. If you can blow that up, that is very nicely done.
Yeah. So that shows the cuts and the fills of the site.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, that should have gone to that.
Okay. Yeah, that actually also shows the frontal view of the tower, which was one of the things that we asked for.
Yeah, that helps quite a bit. I agree.
Okay, Mr. Peugeot, questions?
Yeah, I just have that same question. You don't have a flat drawing of that tower element, the central element, besides this thing, besides this little.
Yeah, because we did ask for that actually, to get a better sense of what.
You must have it somewhere in your drawings on your screen or somewhere, right? Or no?
Oh yeah, this is a Revit model, so it's in 3 dimensions. We can snap it at any location, and we've got it. But yeah, it's just a matter of creating a viewport for that elevation straight on to the entry tower.
All right. Any other questions, Alex?
Nope.
Mr. Blummer.
Yes, I'm mute. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, while we're on this, I have a quick question. What is the height of this wall then, where the turnaround is, or the hammerhead?
Where the hammerhead is, yes, I've got that on the plan. Let me look at it here. See. So the height of that wall is where 65 meets. That's about 6 feet at its height, at its maximum.
Okay.
Isn't it shown in the sections here?
You don't.
Not it right here.
No.
Section 1.
It's actually about 7.6. If you can hear me.
7.6.
Okay.
It's steeper at one.
Yeah, it's not in any of the sections because it's quite a ways away from the building. You're talking about at the hammerhead turnaround.
Yeah, and there's one point to this. What is it? It would be the southwest of that hammerhead where the wall would be the highest list, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Any other questions from board members? All right, we will now move on to public comment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? If so, please raise. And I don't believe we had any letters. So seeing no hands, we'll get back to the board for comment. Ms. Grubb.
So starting with the screening plants, I'm not completely understanding why the hedge material changes. It's like a pretty long stretch of the prunus and then the ligustrum and back to prunus, but it's not really alternating. It's just these big blocks of them. So I would recommend that it's more uniform maybe, but staggering the actual plants is a good idea. And then the plant size of the ligustrum is only a 5 gallon, which it's a relatively fast growing plant, but it's still starting at a 5 gallon is really small for how those oaks are pretty nicely limbed up. So, but the view will be visible. So it'd be good to size those up. The hammerhead, I realize we don't want that wall to be taller than it needs to be, but if it's 7 feet 6 and that visible from the road, because of where it is positioned with the driveway entrance, there's nothing softening it from that view because it's all paving for the most part in front. So if there's a way to incorporate landscaping that trails down the wall, so we don't have to carve more out for a planter, but something to soften that wall. And this is a really small comment, but on the Muelo calculations, they're formatted different. They seem to calculate correctly, but they are formatted differently than I normally see them. And it doesn't show what the ETO rate is that she's using for her calculations. And that is a variable for whether the calculations work or not. So it'd just be good to make a note of that. That's it.
Okay, Mr. Verdiak.
Well, I think that, you know, standing on the road and looking at the story poles, this thing is really big. And I don't, you know, it would be great if you could find some way to sort of reduce the height. The composition of the building is really interesting and well done. You know, it looks like looks like a really positive job, you know, a positive house, and it has a lot of amenity to the composition of it. But my objection is, as you know, that standing in the street and looking up at it, it's exaggerated. It's an uphill slope, and then you know, it goes up whatever the height is, especially at the tower. And I don't know if there's any way to reduce that, but you know, as Valerie said, when it does, the sections don't go down to the street, so you know, you don't really get the impression from the drawings as to what the height really is, but when you see the story poles, you really do. So my comment would be, if there's a way to reduce the height a little at the entry tower, then I think it's worth studying.
Okay, thanks, John. What are your plate heights, Tom?
The plate heights are, let's see, we've got a 10-foot ceiling. No, we've got 10-foot floor to floor on the main level. So that's 9. And then we've got the second floor plate height is 9 feet also. Is that right, Liz? So we've got 10
that's
feet.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Mr. Peugeot. Comments?
Yes. I didn't get a chance to see the story poles. I apologize. I went to 0 Via Tranquilla, which is what it shows on the plan, and I couldn't find it. You know, it's I didn't know it was 549. I didn't know the address. I just followed the link, and I didn't get a chance to see the story poles. Regarding the elevations, I just have 2 minor comments. One is the supports of the central element are too small. They need to be much larger. I know they are square, maybe it had to be L-shaped, or somehow they look spindly. I understand they look like 18 by 18 or something like that. Somehow, because of the mass, it doesn't seem to work well. Hard to tell because I don't see a straight elevation, but usually in skew elevations, these kind of supports look larger. And I'm looking at page, what is it? Page 17 is where the elevations are shown. If you can go to 17, Josh, that would help. And then there you go. Yeah, and then the comment of the fireplace. It's a minor comment, but somehow it doesn't seem to work well. Like on the west elevation, that type of fireplace sitting on grade works. It's fine, but on the second floor, it just does. I'm not sure what does, what would be, but it just seems like it could use a little help. Those are minor comments. It seems that the style and the obviously this is very well worked out, very well designed. So those are the only comments I have.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Froscher.
Yes, I too am really struck that was one of the reasons we asked for the face-on view of the entry tower. But you can see it here. It looks better, like you said. You shrunk it a little bit, and that has helped it. But the legs underneath are just too small for the mass of the second story, and I think it will really help it to anchor if you widen that up. And then also the comment about the fireplace chimney. I think the issue is that it's meant to feel like a masonry fireplace, but it's sitting over a garage door header. So it doesn't feel authentic. I think that's part of the problem with it. So I don't know if you can even pull it into the room so that it doesn't express on the outside as much. I don't know. And then when I did the site visit, I felt much better about it because of the oak trees. They are so important down at the road. And I think the more that you can even add to them, keep creating a kind of oak forest down there, the more it really just kind of nestles this project into the hillside beyond. And certainly you feel that from the property next door. It's very huge too, and it's kind of screened by those trees. So they're really important. And then I agree also with something like creeping fig work on the hammerhead wall, because it's going to be a strange shape that's going to really jump out as a big retaining wall. I know you can get cascading rosemary or jasmine coming down the wall, but maybe just greening it out completely with little vine pockets at the bottom. I don't know, but I think the more you can bury that hammerhead in planting, the better. But that's it. I think it's an interesting design with the two flanks coming out, and if you can anchor that central element a little better, it's working well.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Bloomer.
So I really support the project first and foremost, but I just have a couple minor comments. I think I agree with Kaylee on that. Just the retaining walls where they get above 4 feet. I think what you should do is push it back and create a small 18-inch or 24-inch planter at the base, and maybe cut the wall in half or in thirds, and or create some kind of vine pocketing or places that can actually grow plant material upwards to to do that, I'd rather see like an architectural solution there combined with a landscape solution, because I think just asking the vines to do the work for us, I think it should be like a small like step down of the planter that actually allows for that, or maybe think about how to spoliate something like rosemary over the top. You're going to need to create room for that, but I think it's well worth doing. So I think the grading, and given the site condition, you know, it is what it is. There's grading going to be happening there. So 2 feet more of disturbance isn't going to make any material difference, and the benefit will be very noticeable. And I think that should be paid attention throughout. There's linear elements of the roadway that, you know, maybe small sections could be notched out for small planters along this wall that create around these curves. So maybe just pop a notch in here and there where you could, if that helps. I don't agree with John necessarily that the house needs to be lowered in any way. I actually was kind of impressed, I was actually impressed with how much has been done to maximize the property, but still maintain its somewhat respectful kind of position to the neighborhood. You know, this neighborhood is characteristic with a lot of, you know, has a characteristic of its own, and it has a lot of large stately homes. This certainly isn't a standing out to me as something that's bigger, you know, out of scale with its neighborhood. In fact, the houses in this neighborhood should be, you know, are pretty prominent. So I don't think it's too big or too tall, but I think it's the same as a lot of the properties that you see in this neighborhood. And I think it comes down to how well you manage the site and nestle it in there. And what really struck me is coming down via Tranquilla, looking at this property. I'm just going to draw this coming this way and viewing the house and the property from this road as I went along. What I like about what's been done here by the design team is there's, sorry, I got to get out of this mode. There's a ridge line along here that's been maintained, and the top of the ridge is very clearly maintained. Like the house doesn't exceed it from the road. So when you're looking at the road, you still see this nice ridge line and the avocados and the trees and the plantings and that nice natural slope and ridge line are completely preserved for the most part as you come down via Tranquilla. So as you're looking to the left and observing it, you know, the house is quite nestled in there. There's a lot of vegetation in front, and you see pieces and parts of it, but the main feature of the property that I notice is that ridge line, and it's maintained in its kind of natural state, and it looks very good. And I noticed it driving from the other direction and from the street coming the other way, you know, there's a lot of elements, the neighboring property, the vegetation. Again, you don't get a full frontal shot of this building. You just see little bits and pieces of it, which is, I think, kind of romantic and nice. It's kind of peeking through the trees a bit. So, and I think the elevations, you know, reach up and great interest. So I don't see any reason why you should mess with the height of this. I think that would be a shame, actually. So that's my comments about the mass bulk and scale. A little bit on the landscaping there. And I think the other thing that just needs to be added to the discussion is the architecture is appropriate. And it's very well detailed and very well executed, and it's very well proportioned, and it's a very nice example of this kind of classical Santa Barbara type architecture. And the effort of the applicant to study it thoroughly is so obvious here. There's nothing hidden. There shouldn't be any surprises, and the details are exceptional and in the right vein of what this kind of quality of this neighborhood should expect. So I think my proposal is that we help this applicant finish the job here, because you're doing very good work, and this is an exceptional house on an exceptionally difficult site.
Okay, good, thanks. Can you go back to page 16 on the PDF? Just want to get some clarification from Tom, if I could. On the south elevation, bottom right, is that going all the way to the street?
Yes, that's the street. And you can see the car in there, yeah. And so the site sections go right down to what we thought was the street elevation. So and if you look on the topo, I mean, it doesn't show the whole width of the street on the sections, but it does take you down.
So then what is
this one in, yeah, this one in particular, yeah, that wall is a maximum of 3 feet. And that's right at the point where you come down the driveway and you turn left to the garage. So, yeah, okay. So it shows on the site plan, you can see there's a 3 foot note right where that happens.
Okay, very good. So let's see, comments. Then maybe we can go to the site plan then, Josh, or we could probably do it all from the planting plan, which would be up towards the front. 2 more, there you go. Okay, so then another question. The entry gates, I assume because it's Hope Ranch, have to be sort of see-through-ish, right? Do you have a design for those entry gates yet?
We don't have a design for those, no. Yeah.
Okay, but it does need to be sort of open, right? So goes to Kaylee's comment about you'll be able to see in all the way to back here. So I think Josh's comments about maybe terracing that, or at least Val's comments about putting ficus on that, anything you can do to mitigate the impact of that high wall. And then I guess my overall general comment is this fire department screws everything up. It's such an unfortunate entry. The shape of all this, it's huge. You know, I mean, just entering into this property, it's just a bizarre sort of entry experience because of that hammerhead. I don't know what the solution is, but I assume at some point you thought about putting the garage on this side of the house. But you know, obviously it's too late to change that or even probably go down that route. But I don't know what the solution is, but it's just really, you know, I don't know what this dimension is either. But if there's anything you can do to sort of reshape this so it doesn't look like a hammerhead, we've recommended that on other projects too. Just because you have to fit a hammerhead in there doesn't mean the shape of it has to be hammerhead-like. And then I assume this is kind of for guest parking, but you know, if this could be just, I don't know, more organic or something to help with that entry experience. I'm just having trouble with how that feels upon entering the site. Okay, I digress on that. The hedging, I agree with Kaylee. There's kind of, it sort of seems like sort of an arbitrary mix in the hedge material. I think that needs either some justification or some definition as to why there's a change. But I also think it needs to be more, and staggering on either side of the fence would help that, and thickening up the hedge in certain, but just following on one side of the fence all the way down, you know, isn't necessarily a successful way to screen this. Because, and especially, and I guess the comment is, relocate hedge material to avoid getting too close to oak trunks, which that, especially right in this section right here. So that means you'll probably need to bring some of that hedge back here, maybe a little bit closer to the bridle path, but not so close to the oaks. And then again, through here, it should be on both sides of the fence. Because if one plant dies, you're looking right into the site, right? And it's going to be heavily shaded because of those oaks. So even the prunus and the ligustrum, they may have a little trouble getting established and growing underneath the heavy shade of those oaks. So the more the better for hedging. And then lastly, bolster the planting in this northeast corner with additional hedging and or trees even. I'm not sure that this is the appropriate place for a little orchard, because it's not going to do much at all. And this is where that little triangle is on Via Tranquilla, and the view right in here, right into the garage. I think you're going to want to close that down as much as possible. So, you know, bolster planting, consider relocating the orchard. There's not too many other spots, but I think you just need more planting there. And that is it. for my comments. So you are here for further conceptual. So Joe, do you need any clarification on any of those comments? We were all totally clear.
Yes, sure. I do. I would like a little bit of clarification. So the comment about the hedge, so it sounded like it's the way the planting material is right now is kind of blocky. So it sounds like you like the staggered approach, but maybe not so much. You want more variation more often. Is that the comment?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, the staggering doesn't mean, one prunus, one ligustrum, one prunus, one ligustrum. I think you can still do it in blocks, but it's also an increase in the amount of hedging material. So
and container size. If the ligustrum stays in the planting plan, it was only 5 gallons. So
okay.
I don't know if
so also increase number and size of hedge plants proposed. Would that kind of help speak to that?
Yeah, I guess.
We add something about layering, Chris.
Yeah, in bolster hedge planting.
I got that. Okay.
And I guess I said at the northeast corner, so over here, but then also like just having this hedge end right there. We need to like do something, turn the corner or make it, have a terminate of some sort at the south point.
Would this be to kind of like deepen the hedge, to like create a deeper hedge? Okay.
Right. Which is bolster, thicken, increase hedging.
Okay, that helps. So that I also had a question about the increase in the size of plants, but I think that answers that. Does everyone agree that Josh had some pretty strong comments about the project being excellent? Does everyone agree that the project is well designed, well detailed, architectural style is appropriate, etc.?
Yeah, I like it.
Yes.
Okay, and then one other question was the comment about studying the supports of the central element. So I have restudy supports of central element as designed. They are too small for building mass and appear spindly. I wanted to make sure that addressed Valerie's comment. It sounded like Valerie, you had a similar comment, and I want to just make sure that covered both you and I think Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. That's all I have then.
Okay, very good. And Tom, any last minute clarifications needed on your end?
I think it's pretty clear. Good comments, and I can address most of these very easily. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
actually,
we can take a quick look at slide number 10 that shows the hammerhead. We can go there. There seems to be room to do some landscaping right against, especially on the west curving wall. You can blow up the hammerhead area, please. There seems that's one of the tallest walls, the one on the west, the curving wall on the west. There you go. Right. And there seems to be like, I don't know, like 3 feet or something in front of it. So there might be something. No, the other one, the one on the west. There you go, that one. The one you indicated first is very low. It's only a foot or so. That one is pretty tall. Yeah, the one on the west. It just seems like maybe there's a minor tweaking that could be worked out with that hammerhead to make it to soften it.
Okay, very good. Joe, you had something else?
Yeah, so there were a lot of comments about the hammerhead, and so I think just to summarize, I think it really is the comment maybe is to restudy the hammerhead, study ways to soften it by integrating planting material that cascades down the wall, I kind of have basically a general comment about that with a little bit more detail. The other thing, there was a question about a site section. Ballard had asked whether it extended down, and I'm wondering, is that a comment? Do we need the site section to extend any further?
I think it's okay. You know, the elevation shows it down to the road, and the area that I was concerned about, there's not a very big wall right there. No, I don't know, unless anybody else feels that we should get that.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Mr. Chair, I think this is ready. This is ready for preliminary at least.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we should get the coolest and let the applicant figure. He knows what we want. We'll come back with a solution and we'll get to look at it again.
Yeah, I agree.
It's only sketchable and conceptual.
So return for preliminary?
Preliminary, and you know, it could be almost final too if the applicant wants to take a risk or doing 2 steps.
Okay. I would support that. Preliminary finals. So let's get people moving through this process. I think that's totally right on, Alex.
Okay. Anyone object to preliminary final on return? No?
Nope.
Okay, moving on. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we'll try to speed things up here a little bit. It's already 11:20. Okay, item number 3. I think, yes.
Yeah.
So this is the next 3 items are first timers, I believe.
Oh boy.
So this is the Carter edition.
Just so I'm clear, we're missing an item number 2 here, right?
No.
I'm not missing something.
Hold on. One was the story pole visit. 2 was the same project.
Oh,
so this is item number 3.
This business we're in here. All right.
This is the Carter edition, conceptual review of a 650 square foot residential second story addition. To a 3,200 square foot single family dwelling and 560 square foot garage. This is located at 2747 Macadamia Lane in Toro Canyon area. Do we have the applicant here with us? If so, please state your name for the record.
Yes, I'm the applicant, Lisette Elenes, for the owner, Drew Carter.
Okay, so go ahead and give us your presentation when you're ready. Let's try and keep it, sort of brief and to the point and within our jurisdiction.
Yes, so this is a 2-story addition to be located right above the garage of an existing house. It's a single family home right now. We're not doing anything with the site. It's completely above the garage itself. The addition is for a master bedroom, and it's just going to have a front deck and facing macadamia. The garage is located about 50 feet from the property line on the macadamia side, and like 42 feet from the Freehaven Drive on the back. So it's pretty set back from the street view. So if we go to the floor plan, you guys just looking at the photos. So if you see kind of like, okay, yeah. So if we go to the next sheet, the floor plan.
I'm still trying to figure out where we are in the world. Where are we?
There's a vicinity map there. I'll zoom in on that bad boy.
Oh, for some reason I thought we were above Mission Canyon. So where are we?
It's Toro Canyon area.
Toro Canyon.
Oh, okay, I heard you. I heard you wrong. So this is Toro Canyon?
Mm-hmm.
But it's near Ortega Ridge and Foothill. You know, those properties we've looked at up on the top of Freehaven that look out to the ocean. Macadamia Lane's on the way up to Freehaven off of Foothill or Ladera.
Off East Valley, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so it's one of those spurs that come off of 192 by Ladera and goes up to the, yeah, okay.
But
I know
this
that
goes
ridge.
up toward the ocean, right?
Yeah,
It's
right.
on the ocean side.
Sure. Yeah, so this, okay, I know where this is. Pretty nice part of the world, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's a very private property. It's all those properties are surrounded by trees on all sides, basically. So the addition, when you were looking already at the photos, you'll see that all around it's just surrounded by these big trees.
All right, please continue.
So here on the, if you look at the floor plan, so on the first floor, the only thing that we're including is just that new stair that goes up to the addition. And then the addition, the garage had a vaulted ceiling, so we're flattening that ceiling to provide the addition there. What we're trying to do is we looked at different places to locate the second floor, but we think by locating it above the garage, it plays more with the scale of the property and without having it, with reducing the height of the garage instead of reducing the height of the other main rooms in the house, we're able to have a better proportion of the structure. So this is a view that's facing macadamia, and it has that front entry tower. And then we're kind of like matching like a tower that goes straight up, and then on the rest of the structure, just gable roofs to match existing. We do have a little bit of that wrought iron fence for the deck, and there's already wrought iron fencing around the pool and other areas of the house. So we're going to match that in style. It's not going to be very ornamental, very simple type of railing. If you looked at, this is the rear elevation, the one that you see in the middle there of that sheet. So we're trying for it to blend as much as possible with the one-story existing house.
Okay. And matching all materials and finishes.
Yes, matching exactly the same. Yeah, the windows are wood windows, so we will just do the same type of casement windows. We do have a folding door system of like La Cantina or something equal to that. And that in the front, and then the rest are just a very similar type windows.
Okay, very good. Anything else that we should know?
No, that's it. I think
straightforward.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So anyone from the board have questions?
Yes, I have questions. Do you have as-built drawings? Do you have drawings, like you're showing the proposed? I don't see the existing, the existing elevation.
Oh, the existing elevations. Yes, I don't have them. I don't have them drawn up. Like the only thing is that I can tell you, like in that elevation, the first elevation in the previous sheet, one sheet over, just those elevations. So just the darker areas there to the right is just the existing. The garage was just like a gable roof garage, and there was nothing else on that side.
Okay. We'll definitely need to bring that next time.
Yeah, and this
Okay, like an existing elevation.
Yeah.
Compare it.
All 4 elevations, yes.
Okay, to make a comparison from one to the other.
Yes, and sometimes people show them before and after on the same page, like the same, north before, north after, that kind of a thing. Are there any flat roofs or any cornices like you're showing there in the next to the addition?
Are you asking if there is any cornices?
Yeah, like
yes.
The current drawing, does it have a square element? I mean, the flat roof element now? I didn't see it.
Yes, right now the current elevation, the current condition, and we can go to the photos in a moment. That section that it's between where the new railing is at and the tower with the big window. So that one was already an existing, the lower roof there that you see, we're keeping that section with that type of cornice and flat roof. And then we're putting the tower of the stair a little bit set back from that. So we're kind of like keeping that same look and just imitating it and setting it back for the tower.
Okay. So just to clarify then, this is existing and
yes, that's existing.
And you're adding that portion?
Correct.
To the top, okay. Okay, any other questions? All right, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? If so, please raise your hand. Seeing no one, back to the board for comments. I would say, yeah, Miss Froscher. Comment.
Well, yeah, I've got some initial concerns. I'm not sure that flat roof, putting it up on the second story is working with the other roof lines. It kind of just adds another kind of roof to a mixture of roofs that are already there. And then when you go to the south elevation, I guess it feels very much like it's kind of been stuck on to the roof below. So there's not enough protrusion of the downstairs roof on that south elevation, or the roof line that you've got carrying along, trying to break the long two-story elevation. You can really see it on your renderings down on page A3.2. Josh, you want to go down to A3.2? Yeah. So if you look at the southwest perspective, it's feeling like it needs some more articulation.
Okay.
That's good.
All right, Mr. Peugeot.
Yeah, I agree with those comments. I think the concept is fine. I just don't think is very well executed, and the drawings don't help you too much. I think there are things that could be done to soften the work. This is for what I see in the pictures, it is a rather classical Spanish home with it has a two-piece mission tile. It has I don't see the existing east elevation looks really odd. You can see it on A3.1. I'm not sure if, that's an odd gable. I wonder if that's the way it was built, because it's really strange. But this project needs a little bit more development. It needs every single elevation could be worked on. I agree with the comment on the flat roof. I think that element, which is a transitional element between an already existing big tower, then there is kind of like a breakfast nook that is flat, and all of that conjunction, it could be really helped, could be improved. I agree with the comment on the way the roofs blend. It's not there yet. Maybe one way to regarding the southwest perspective, I just suggest that one way to improve that is to extend the porch over that roof, over that door. That might be, that might extend increase the extension of the extent of the roof, of the lower roof, to soften the transition. There's several things that can be done. The balcony could have some false beams to corbels type to make the support more traditional, as opposed to just a flat slab extending out. There's some details that belong to the style that are lacking in this design. But I'm not against the concept.
You're giving me a run for the money in the rambling architect department, Alex.
Good points, though. All right, go ahead, Josh. Keep on rambling.
Well, I kind of agree with Alex, actually. And let me ramble on a little bit about what Alex said. But if anybody in my architecture studio, if anybody in my studio hears me say this, their eyes are going to roll back in their head. They're probably going to pass out. But here's what I'm looking at with this. I think that this is an example of what not to do in 3D modeling. Like, I have a sense that this product, and I'm being very presumptuous, and forgive me for being such a snot here, but it feels like it's been conceived from a 3D modeling exercise. And I think houses like this, you need to put them on paper or put them into 2D drawings and conceive of them from the elevation in the floor plan, and look at proportion and think about height and really do your math and calculate what it is you want it to actually create. And I think this classical kind of architecture tends to lend itself to being designed from a pleasing set of forms in the elevation, and then and then those get translated into plan and section, and they get kind of hunted down in that fashion. And then once that's done, then going in and 3D modeling it to test a solution is a better way to go. And I see a lot of work now that starts out in the 3D modeling process, because it seems like, oh, there's just an obvious solution. I'll build the existing house and I'll build a 3D model to add on to it. And then you get this, and it feels like it's been kind of a little bit kind of smushed together from a bunch of 3D parts. And I think it's hard to, and then the afterthought is the elevation. So again, might be completely presumptuous and full of it here. I don't have any idea how you came up with this, but my guess, having looked at a lot of stuff like this over the years and dealing with a lot of 3D modeling and trying to figure out how it fits into what we do and how it sometimes departs from our kind of traditional way of doing architecture in the plan section, elevation diagramming and drawing. You know, I kind of feel like there's a point there, and I think, you know, again, studying the elevation, the proposal's fine, the scheme is fine. It just needs some fine tuning, and all the pieces and parts need to start to homogenize and blend together and kind of feel like one thought at the end. And it just, there's a couple little silly things there. It's the tower is the one element that kind of stands out to me as a problem. But so I'd say, in summarizing my ramblings, restudy your elevations.
And follow Josh online for more philosophical textual.
Yeah. Alex and I will be hosting a workshop on how to bore the shit out of people later this afternoon. You can come join us.
All right, Mr. Verdiak, excuse me. You're on mute, John. There
well, obviously the building is side loaded, isn't it? So, you know, the conversation is going towards integrating the two roofs together. And that seems to be the problem. I agree with that. And you know, maybe joining the roofs together where that tower is one possibility, or extending the garage roof out and just putting a couple of columns down to hold it up would balance the building better. It, you know, the elevation in the back is pretty plain. As a matter of fact, it's too plain. So anyway, the easy phrase, as Josh used, restudy the elevations. What else?
Very good. Ms. Grubb.
I agree with those comments, and I don't have anything to add at this point.
Okay, thank you. I think, you know, I concur. I don't really have anything else to add. I was going to mention the side loading comment as well, and the tower for me that's sort of where it could all come together, but doesn't seem to. So this here for conceptual, I would say, how does the board want to take this? Further conceptual, obviously, / preliminary, if it comes back right.
Sure.
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah,
okay.
I think the basic premise is okay. It just needs to come around.
Yeah. Okay, so return with those comments for further conceptual / preliminary. Joe, do you need clarification on any comments?
No, I think I got just a
the
general sense.
I think we need to say a few things, like when you say like develop the elevations, I think it's develop a design that is consistent with the existing style of the house. You know, right? I mean, you know, if you look at the photographs, the house has some quality, and the new design needs to continue that, right? And also to integrate the elements, especially the second story with the existing mass of the building. You know, I'm trying to give some direction, and what I mean by
hand drawings hand drawings, you'll crush it.
Yeah, also provide existing elevations and
okay.
Yeah, and traditional detailing. It's a traditional style, so we need to have more traditional details.
Yep, great, thank you, Alex. Good comments. All right, moving on. Item number 4. Taubes Gate. This is also new. Is here for conceptual review. Sorry, whoever's got background noise, please mute yourself until you're ready to speak. So here for conceptual review of a new entry gate with 7-foot tall gate posts with 2-foot light fixtures above the posts. Entry gate will be 6 feet tall. That's it. This is 660 Ladera Drive in Toro Canyon. Can I just ask real quick to staff, isn't this is a little strange that we're looking at just an entry gate? I thought that anything 8 foot tall for the posts and 6 feet tall for the gates did not require design review. Is there something we're missing?
What's the deal? What's the dealio, Joe?
So I'll have to look at this. If it's an entry gate, it's likely that BAR could be waived depending on the project, but I'd have to specifically look at the reason why it's being required.
Is this property like sitting on a CUP or something? Like, why would they? What would trigger that?
Well, let's just get into it. Maybe it'll be quick then. So do we have
the applicant? Maybe the applicant to tell us.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Zorn Belvis. I'm here.
Can you shed some light?
Yeah, well, when I applied for, and I called the front desk, they said it has to go through design review. So that's why I'm here. Otherwise, we would have just gone into a building permit.
Okay.
Well, of course.
So I was guided to do this.
Okay.
So we figured you wouldn't do it just because you thought it up yourself.
Yeah. Be careful. Someone at the county tells you to jump off the pier. You might get in trouble there. All right.
All right. Well,
I'll do my research.
Let's
have a look here.
Let's get through
provide
it.
a little bit. So to provide a little bit more clarity.
Go ahead, Joe.
Can you hear me? So just to provide a little bit more clarity. So a project like this, if it's visible from the street, it would require a review by the BAR.
Okay.
So
even if the gate is only 6 feet, I thought that, yeah, I thought it was exempt if the columns are 8 feet or less.
Oh, you know what? It's probably because of those light fixtures. Because the gates, let's see, 7 foot tall gate columns and 2 foot light fixtures. So that makes it 9 feet. So that might be why they made you come in.
Well,
or is
the dude is here with his gate, and he's got a hell of a nice set of drawings. So why don't we just
let's just review real quick. So
let's give it a review and get it through and get on to the next item. And if the applicant wants to go take our comments back to the counter and
all right. So hold on, everybody. Let's
get going.
Hello. Yes. Zoran, go ahead and please present for us.
Okay, so this is a new set of gates and columns and walls going into a going into the to the property. So it's gates and piers and an automatic gate opener with motors, and it will have a fire department Knox access box.
Okay.
And the design of the house is actually very Italianate, and that's why the gates look as they do.
Okay. The materials of the columns and the wall.
Material of the columns and the wall are stucco, and then that's going to be a stone top on the columns.
Okay. And the light above the columns, is that dark sky compliant?
They are.
Okay. Anything else to share?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Any questions from the board? No. One from the public that would like to speak on this item, please raise your hand. No one. Back to the board. Comments? Anyone?
Looks good. Looks appropriate.
Yeah, I'd like to continue this for preliminary and final to consent with the applicant to make show really drawings of the gates, because the what you're showing is very fine, but it's not the proportions of the gate. You know, the gates will be maybe two of those panels together, not I mean, anyways, just provide the complete drawings of what the gate would look like. And also there are some very long fence panels on the side, right? They're about 30 feet long. So come back with those drawings to the consent calendar for preliminary and final. That's what I would do.
Okay, how about any landscaping? Are you planning on doing any landscaping around these new gates? I assume you are. So if so, please bring a landscape plan.
And it should be run by the fire department sooner than later, because the width is only 14 feet right now. And so just confirming that that'll be acceptable. I think 16 is the standard.
Oh, you know what? It got frozen for a moment, so I didn't hear.
Oh, so I believe it's 14.
Have you ran it through the fire department yet for the width of the gates?
Yes, that's all.
Okay.
This is exactly what the fire department needed.
Yeah, it's 14 for single family.
Yeah.
16 for multi.
Okay.
Okay, so basically, I don't know how much you heard, Zoran, but return with a landscape plan, return with details, detail out the gate design, and return preliminary final on consent.
Okay, and so
I think a cut of the lights would be interesting.
Yeah.
Bring a sheet.
Bring a cut sheet for the lighting fixture also.
Okay, but what if the client's not doing landscaping at this point?
Well, they're going to
say so.
I mean, they're going to. There is going to be required landscaping because you're going to tear up that whole area by building this. So we want to see, you're going to put something back to it can be minimal, but we want to see what it's going to be.
Okay.
Just around the gate.
Okay.
How you repair.
All right. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Moving on. Item number 5. Hopefully, Josh, did you get the message to download this file because it was 270 megs? If not, you might want to do that now. So item number 5, this is also a new project here for conceptual review of a 3,850 square foot residence and attached garage on a currently vacant parcel requiring less than 50 cubic yards of cut and fill located at 4404 Via Abrigata in Santa Barbara area. Do we have the applicant here with us?
Yes.
Go ahead, Ken.
Ken Radke, Ray Twyford, and Stefan Farmazon from Blackbird Architects are here representing the client.
Looks like this is downloading okay, guys. I think we'll be all right here, Chris, just so you know. I got the Gigablast internet service here trying its best.
Why is the file so large? I mean,
yeah, no, just for next time, Ken, we need 15 megabyte files. So if you have to break them up a little bit into multiple files, then do so. But this causes chunks. Yeah. So anyway, go ahead with your presentation when you're ready.
Happy to do that. I'll be fairly brief because I think it's a potentially, you might see it as a fairly modest and straightforward project. The little perspective at the top kind of captures a certain essence of this, which is a 3-bedroom house on a blank site in Hope Ranch. It's sort of an update to the ranch house theme, which is really prevalent in Hope Ranch and kind of a California thing. The project is on 2.23 acres. And Ray, maybe we could go, or let's see, who's got the, yeah, you can see here's a photo and a survey of the top half of the site, which is 2.23 acres. There's a flat spot there that's existing, and the proposed project sits on that flat spot. It's got an access off of a cul-de-sac, which is one of the only cul-de-sacs in Hope Ranch. So it comes right onto that little triangle that overlaps under the cul-de-sac as the site access. And there's a hillside facing to the northwest there, a descending slope that is the reason why we're at SBAR, because we're also at Hope Branch with the project. It's a one-story house, but it's at the, in proximity to a descending slope there. We could go to the next.
If that's having trouble loading, guys, sorry about the file size. I usually try to fix that. I have it open and can share my screen if that's helpful.
I do as well if it's easier from the board side.
Go ahead. Why don't you go for it, Kaylee?
Okay. Oh, it's disabled for me. There we go.
Yeah, try again. I just made you a co-host.
Okay, here we go. Okay. What sheet would you like me to go to?
We could go to the photo sheets. I think that would be helpful. And then here you can see the existing flat spot. The owners actually, one of them was raised on the property across the street, and the two adjacent properties, although this property views looks to the northwest, kind of through those, you can see that those oak trees that are at the top there, views out are through a screen and around the corner of those oak trees. The adjacent properties are on the top of the knoll with views to the southwest and east to the ocean. So we're one story set down and screened in essentially all directions from anybody who's below us. We could go to the next sheet, which gives you the full site plan, the placement of the house. So it's a kind of a light, a gentle V-shaped open plan house with a great room and master on one end and two guest bedrooms on the other end, and a 3-car garage. All just again placed right on the flat spot with the floor 6 inches above that flat spot just for drainage. I think that you can see here the access from the cul-de-sac using sort of the setbacks to their sort of basic advantage, screening and having the quiet side towards the near property owners, adjacent neighbors, and then opening out. The site, the placement of the house creates a series of little outdoor spaces for living, with the main outdoor living space to that northwest side. Next is a floor plan. Again, it's 2985, I think, is the square footage of the main house and the 800 square foot garage. You can see again this kind of classic ranch house, open plan, California setup with a lot of more open sides to the northwest and more closure to the south and east. I think the roof plan will be helpful. It's these two wings are set up to have two hipped shaped roofs as the main covers of these wings. The larger one that you can see there, it's got an asymmetric ridge because that hipped form is tilted up. So the northerly two corners are higher than the southerly two corners, if that makes sense. So it takes that hipped form, just tilts it very, very gently up so that the inside space can open up to that north light and to the mountain and oak tree views. The long narrow wing there, where the two bedrooms and the laundry are, is just a straightforward low slung flat hip roof. And then a bathroom and the garage have the 2 parapet forms, which give us some good spots for solar and so forth, which will be required by code. And they can just sit right on those flat spots and be a little bit less in view to anyone, frankly. Then we could go to the next sheet. And these are set up in an unusual order for presentation, but the upper elevation is showing that north-facing V-shaped side. So on the far left is the master bedroom. In the middle is the living, dining, kitchen, great room. And then on the right-hand side, you can see the bedroom wing with those lower slope roofs. The highest ridge point of that upper roof is at 18 feet. So at the very top, the highest point is 18 feet above grade. And on the low slung wing, the highest point is just over 12 feet, I think 12 feet 3 as the ridge height. So very low slung house. The northeast elevation is seeing that same thing, but just square on to the bedroom wing, and with the master bedroom there that you're seeing on the left-hand corner. If we go to the next sheet, the palette is earth tone, earthy plaster colors with a gray oxidized darker roof, bronze aluminum windows, and a couple of landscape walls that you can see in the foregrounds there that would be board form concrete. And then a couple of spots at the garage door, for example, on that lower elevation where we're using horizontal wood staves just to create a landscape identity for that garage door that's on the path to the front door, which is right in the center of that lower elevation. You can see where it looks like there may be a lady in a blue dress standing there. That's the front door. Then we could go to the next sheet down. You can see the closest corner does have a proximity. It's at an angle to the descending slope, but the closest corner is something like what that shows on the upper elevation. Here we're looking at the short end of that skinny wing on the west elevation on the top, and then the east elevation, we're looking at that side of the master bedroom and master bathroom with the other guest rooms on the far end. Then there's some sections. We're here for a concept, kind of hoping that Hope Ranch could be the more sort of detailed and ongoing final review. We did have a Hope Ranch review in December. They were very pleased with having a one-story project here, and referred it to the forward. There have been story poles up for this, but they asked that we only put up the story poles for the ridges because they were so pleased at having such a low slung house here. They're trying to just get it approved as quickly as possible. You can see we're using these trusses, a truss system for the hip roof to get a cantilever on the north, just to have that really wonderful covered outdoor space at the north side. We could go to the next sheet. I think is that the last one?
I think that's the last sheet. Is there a separate file I can check?
Ray, this submittal, there was some communication breakdown because we didn't even know we were going to be on this until this morning. So hopefully this gives you enough to start with, and Ray does have a lot of other documentation if that's helpful, and we're here to answer questions.
If Ray has a landscape plan, I think in concept, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, you're allowed to show your screen. Is that correct, Chris?
Yeah, that's fine. If you have more that would be helpful. Then go ahead.
The site sort of landscape plan, which is very, very, very straightforward, as well as the palette. I think Ray could show that. And
can you guys make me give me access to share? It'd be Ray, not Ken, potentially. I think it's still saying.
Leah or Joe.
There we go. Thank you. So yeah, the set you have is essentially the same set I have here. We've been working on it since November a little bit. So there's some more sections where we're figuring things out, working with the truss manufacturer. And then we do have a preliminary landscape plan that we've just started that I can share. Let me pull that up. So we're just starting to get into this.
Essentially, the stars of the show here are the existing oaks, which we're just sort of nestling up to the edges of their proximity. They're, even though they're just off the edge of the top of the slope there to the north, the views are enframed and captured in those oaks. And then there's an oak on the bottom corner there, an existing oak in the sort of sharp corner, and on the right there's a bigger oak. So the bedroom wing faces out into the shade of that oak, and then just essentially native and sort of base planting to accompany the base of the property, and some planting along the property line there at the left. And that's the basics of it.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
I have to take a little exception with that. I was told that I was the star of the show here.
Yeah. All right, questions.
Landscape star of the show.
No, you're competing with oak trees, Josh. Get used to
it. They told me when I signed up for this.
All right,
I had the lead part.
Thanks for your presentation. Let's bring it back to the board. Does anyone have questions?
I was asked. I was going to ask. I think it was presented, but I didn't catch it. What was your final choice or your choice for the roof finish?
Sort of a dark gray oxidized standing seam roof.
Okay.
Oh,
there it is.
The windows are all sliding open, and the kitchen counter then becomes a counter to the outside also. Is that right?
That's true.
And then on the south side, those also slide open. So this is just a sort of a grand outdoor pavilion here that where the air just sweeps through the interior also. Is that right?
Yeah, I like the way you put that. That's really the idea, is just to have, they're going to spend their time in the great room, like most families do, and some very, very simple means to connect to the out of doors. It's a retreat site, basically.
Yeah, well, it's a wonderful idea. It looks great.
I'm wondering if we can move this along. I don't know. I'm really impressed with this house and would like to just let them move forward. I think it's a beautiful design.
Okay, so well, let's just go through the process quickly then. So any other questions from anyone? No.
No.
Any members of the public that would like to speak on this item, please raise your hand if so. Seeing none, go up. Any other comments from the board?
Just I like I just want everybody to kind of look at if they didn't get a good look at it, is slide 10 with the section. I think that really tells the story. It's really creative. kind of blending of old and new. I think the project's appropriate. It's, you know, well designed. It's exquisitely presented, and I think coming back with, can these guys come back for preliminary final with details?
Yes.
Yeah, details.
Yeah.
Landscape.
Yeah.
I had just one brief comment.
I was just one quick thing, Chris. My only comment I was going to say is just let's focus a little bit, you know, on the detailing that kind of achieves this move here. You know, it's very unusual, but it's actually it's very amazing too. But there's some, yeah, it's a pretty interesting trick to tweak that roof like that and then open that up. It's nice. And how that gets detailed is probably going to be the key to making it work. I'm sure you have it all figured out, but I think that would be the one detail we'd be looking at is how that all comes together. It's nice.
You're right, Josh. That's the trick of it is how to work with those in to out zones. If it were possible, we'd love to just be, since we're on scrutiny with Hope Ranch as well. If there's any way to just be you know, final on consent or something like that.
I think that's appropriate. You know, this house has very little visibility, and what we see already is perfectly fine. So I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, other comments?
We will need landscape plans.
Yeah. Can you go to the landscape plan or site plan real quick? I just had a quick comment, and it was just about. There you go. Thanks. Just about the guest parking, it's just so immediately right inside the gate. Might actually be hard to get into that first spot. And then I would also encourage you, I'm not sure why the paving wraps over along the fence, but you know, you probably want to have some landscape along that in that zone as well. So
yeah. It's a good comment. I think you know, one of the things too that will get developed here is this gate, and that needing to be transparent per Hope Ranch, and then we'll probably landscape outside of that too. And so this is definitely going to be further developed. But yeah, those are good comments.
Okay, so I guess I was just looking at this little section right there and wondering why that's hardscape, or if that should be go towards screening so that when the gate is open, you don't see it so much. But you know. I guess what I'm thinking is just getting into this first spot is tough, but you really don't have much room to put the guest parking anywhere else. So I'm sure you thought about that. Okay, so I think you have our comments. I would support, you know, preliminary final on consent, I suppose. If no one objects, then we can move on. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Thanks for your service. Much appreciated.
You, we love it. All right. Item number 6.
We'd do this every day if we could.
Yeah, man.
What are we on?
Item
number 6.
So this is the Pinsky modification for preliminary review of a modification to allow solar panels within the front setback of the parcel. That's within 125 feet from the center of Marina Drive. Solar panels will be 75 feet from the center of Marina Drive. This is approved. 601 Alta Way, also Hope Ranchish. And we had one comment. Well, do we have the Eva? I think I saw you there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I'll just read this one comment and then you can take it. Board finds that the proposed modification is appropriate given the amount of screening and lack of visual access to the proposed solar panels. So if you want to, Ava, go ahead and tell us what's going on.
So we were here a couple of weeks ago. You guys approved it to come back preliminary and final on consent. Since then, I heard back from our planner, and I don't know if she's here because I didn't get a ton of detail, but basically, because it's a mod, I guess the preliminary action has to be made by the full board. It can't be done on consent. So that's literally why we're here.
Okay, so I think we were all fine with this the last time. If somebody wants to make a motion for
any members of the public that want to speak on this?
Oh yeah, sorry. Anyone from the public wishing to speak, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing no one, somebody wants to make a motion?
I do. I move. Is that preliminary and final?
No, preliminary and then to return on consent for final, I believe, right?
Right.
Yes.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. That was.
Thanks, guys.
Hi, this is the planner, Delaney Rowney. Apologies, I'm having dual meetings. There are specific findings that need to be made by SBAR for a modification,
you know
which
what?
is why the
Right.
project is coming back for preliminary before the ZA hearing.
Yeah, I have your planner memo here. I meant to read it. Sorry. So let me just read through that, and we'll, I guess, have to rescind the motion and maybe make it again. But planner comments here for preliminary. As the project is a modification, in order to be heard by the zoning administrator, it must receive preliminary approval, and the South Board of Architecture Review must make the following finding. The modification is minor in nature and will result in a better site or architectural design as approved by the Board of Architecture Review in compliance with section 35-184, which states the Board of Architecture Review and or will result in greater resource protection than the project without a modification. If the project is granted preliminary approval by SBAR, it may not return to SBAR for final approval until it is heard by the zoning administrator as specified in Article 2, Section 35-179.5.2. The project shall be subject to the provisions of Section 35-184. We already did that. Okay, so
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we make an amendment to the previous motion.
Okay.
To include our comments that the board feels that it complies with the, or we can make, I don't know, whatever the fastest way to say this is, we can make those findings. We can make those findings.
And will result in better site or architectural design.
Yeah, that is because, you know, you have the option of putting the panels on the roof or doing something else. Here they're low on the ground, they are screened, they're not visible from the street, right? So those are the findings.
So the board can make, the motion is to amend the motion for, the board can make the appropriate findings to move this forward.
Okay, is that okay with the firster and the seconder?
With me, yes.
Okay, all those in favor again?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, Eva.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Moving on, item number 7. This is for Brown project for further conceptual review and preliminary approval of 2 new trellis structures at 1220 Via Brigitte in Eastern Goleta Valley Community Plan Area. Do we have the applicant here?
Yep, I'm here, Kent Mixon, architect.
Okay, Kent, I know this one was also, you know, questionable as to why you were, sorry, noise, as to why you were here for a couple of arbors. Can you provide some further clarification for us?
Yeah, there was, as it ends up, this project is located in kind of this planned unit community off of San Antonio Creek. And so there were pages and pages of conditions of approval for those projects. And so that's the way I understand it. I don't know if Joe, if I explained that right, but that's the way I understood it.
Okay. Do we have, Joe, can you clue us in, or do we have Veronica, the planner, here to talk about it at all, or should we just, I think we were okay with this last time, so.
Why don't we just move it? If there's no public comment, I'd like to move this project expeditiously.
Yeah, okay. So it sounds like there's no clarification needed. Assuming no questions from the board, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? Seeing no one, any comments from the board? No.
I'll make a motion for preliminary and final approval as submitted.
It's here, sorry, for further conceptual and preliminary. So I guess they need to come back.
Should be here for final.
Okay. Well,
I specifically asked for that since we had.
Yeah, and I think we wanted to give that to you. If it's not agendized properly, it can be final on consent next time. You don't have to come. You can move forward with your building permit.
Okay, I'll amend my motion to read preliminary approval as submitted with final to return on consent.
okay. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
So
Sorry,
Chris,
Ken.
can I ask for a clarification? Was it not agendized that way? Because when I was told to be on the agenda, I specifically asked that it be for final, because there's, this will be the third time and we will be back for this little project.
I know. Well, unfortunately, Ken, reading the agenda here, it just says return for further conceptual and preliminary approval, and that's all we can do.
I know it's not your guys' issue, but I like Ken, I didn't even know I knew we were on. Had no idea what time until like 8 o'clock this morning. So,
okay. Well, apologies.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Our final item of the afternoon is number 8, slow cultivation, which we've seen before. This is for further conceptual to demolish 3 existing greenhouses, modify an existing greenhouse and replace exterior plastic sheeting, and construct new 58,000 square foot greenhouse addition with a maximum height of 17.7, and construct a new 2-story 24,751 square foot cannabis processing and administrative support building at a maximum height of 28 feet. Also including new parking spaces, ornamental landscaping, sewer, stormwater detention, and fencing, lighting, and irrigation at 3889 Foothill Road. Do we have our applicants here with us? If so, please state your name for the record.
Good afternoon, Sabrina Noah with Slow Cultivation Cresco on behalf of the applicant. And with us today on our design team, we have Nathan Eady of SCS Engineers and Scott Branch.
Okay, thank you. I'll go ahead and we have some comments, 5 comments from last time. I'll go ahead and read through those and then turn it over to you to present what has changed in your design. First comment from last time: the project has been significantly improved and the architectural design is appropriate. Look for opportunities to reduce height of structure. Architect team to provide justification for need of proposed building height. Site visit is required. Increase landscape screening as exterior presentation to street is vital to success of project. Scale and style of landscape should be appropriate to site and should be further developed following a site visit. Increase size of proposed box trees to a minimum 48-inch. Incorporate planting in retention or detention basin. Study roof color and materiality to ensure the roof disappears from public viewing places. Green is not an appropriate color for the roof. A mid-tone subtle color is preferred. Bonderized material would help minimize visual impact. So back to the applicant, and go ahead and give us your presentation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, thank you for the opportunity to come back before your board. We truly appreciated those of you who were able to attend the site visit. I hope you found it as helpful as we did. With that, I will keep my comments brief, as I've enjoyed listening to the comments today, and let our design team address the 5 comments and the remainder of the board's questions. So thank you.
Thanks, Sabrina. This is Nathan Eady, the agent, and then obviously we have Scott Branch, the architect. So I'll run through the comments very quickly, and then maybe Scott can kind of drill down into the plans. And there's been a bit of a flurry of activity this week from various other members of county staff that are having small tweaks to the design, some of which we were able to expedite out a revised site and landscape plan about 2 days ago. And then we just got another comment from the fire department yesterday afternoon that has a site project design tweak as well. So to focus on your comments first, so in terms of the reduced height, we went back and reduced the plate height on the 2nd floor of the processing building. So that will now be total height, maximum height of that structure will now be 26 feet instead of 28. While Scott was at it, he also changed the roof color. So from that green to a bonderized gray, that's now reflected in the colorized elevations. And then for landscaping throughout the entirety of the project, all of the box trees were upsized to a 48-inch minimum. So that's both out on Foothill and in the interior of the site. And then I also believe the landscape architect modified the species of trees on the east side of the processing building to err on the side of getting something that provides more height and scale for screening of that building. In terms of the last minute changes, so those that we were able to get into the newest set of plans, our planner gave us some comments, and for code consistency purposes, we've actually taken out 6 parking spaces. So we were proposing 71, that's dropped to 65. And where those parking spaces came out, they've been replaced with landscape islands. So the primary employee parking lot will now have more landscaping in lieu of the loss of a couple of parking spaces. And then the fire department just yesterday afternoon at the county's subdivision review committee meeting asked that the access road on the eastern side of the property be widened from 16 to 20 feet. So the 2 consequences of that, the greenhouse addition will actually just need to get 4 feet smaller to free up the room for that. So that multiplies out to just shy of 2,000 square foot reduction in the proposed greenhouse addition. For the processing building, the landscape planner that we had proposed between the processing building and that eastern road was already almost 20 feet deep. So that'll be reduced 4 feet in size, but we'll have 16 feet in depth remaining. So plenty of room to still get mature screening trees in there. So that's it in a nutshell. In terms of the most up-to-date site plans, I believe Gwen, our planner, uploaded the slightly updated set a day or two ago, and that reflects just those additional landscape islands in the parking lot.
Okay, thank you very much. We've seen this many times. So is there any board member that wants to see anything in particular before we move on to questions and comments? No? Okay, let's go to questions then. Questions from the board. Anyone?
Yeah, I have a question about the address. Is it 3889 or is it 3861?
It is 3861. So when we started this planning process, it was 3889. And then the fire department requested that this parcel be assigned its own standalone street address. And at that point, it became 3861.
Okay, so Joe, can we correct that on the agendas for the future then? So it's, yeah.
This is Gwen, the planner. That would be my bad. So I can definitely make sure that's correct on the future agendas. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have another question. What are the plate heights now in the downstairs and the upstairs of the processing?
I can speak to that. The downstairs plate height for the processing building is 12 feet, and that is what they need to be able to move some forklifts and some crates and stuff. And they have kind of an automated system with how they're going to be running the greenhouse. So some forklifts are going to have to run around inside this processing building, and 12 feet is the ceiling height they need for that. So that's the plate height for that. So the second floor, I had started with a 10-foot plate height to be able to get a drop ceiling up at the top to be able to do HVAC and lighting and whatnot. But with the dropping the second floor plate 2 feet, we can still do that. We'll just have to expose the HVAC and lighting up there, and so that should be no problem.
So that ultimately dropped the second story roof 2 feet, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
I have a question for the planner. What is the process? Does this go to the planning commission, or how does that work?
Yes, good question. So yeah, this is going to go to the planning commission for approval. because it has a development plan component and a couple other permits as well. But yep, it'll be approved by the Planning Commission.
And what kind of action should we need to take before it goes to the Planning Commission?
So this project needs conceptual review before it goes to the Planning Commission. And then after the project is approved by the decision maker, then prior to issuance of the permit, they will be required to return to SBAR for that preliminary and final approval.
Thank you.
So we're just providing comments today. Okay, no other questions from the board? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? I see one hand up, Maureen C. And Bobby also just raised a hand, Bobby Offen. So we'll start with Maureen. Maureen, you'll have 2 minutes whenever you're ready. And you are muted, so there you go.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Noah, for alerting me of a possible Brown Act violation. I was told that site visits were not part of COVID-safe protocol, and you're now saying that the BAR was invited for a site visit. So thank you for alerting me that. I will definitely be letting my lawyer know. And Gwen, if you could please follow up with me and let me know when those site visits happened. The public was not invited to those site visits, so that's quite interesting. Thank you for noticing the address situation. These guys are playing whack-a-mole and using different addresses, different APNs on different pieces of paper in order to obfuscate their true situation. I've looked it up, and address 3889 is attached to a totally different parcel number that is not even attached to this project at all. So thank you for removing that address. That needed to happen. What Mr. Eady failed to mention about yesterday is that the fire department basically tore these guys a new one because greenhouse number 1 has never been permitted. It was never allowed. And now these guys are making thousands of dollars a month, a day to grow cannabis in an unpermitted greenhouse that now your board is saying, hurrah, let's build something bigger. So this whole process is really, really a problem. We think this project is the wrong project at the wrong place. Unfortunately, none of you took me up on my request for a site visit. You would have seen our house. You would have seen the 17 children nearby. You would have seen that this is a completely new use. This is an industrial office building that will have 2 septic tanks, not a continuation of the previous use, which was 6 very simple, illegally built greenhouses that were growing flowers. So 71 to 65 parking spots just doesn't cut it. This needs to be completely eliminated. The greenhouses can fine if it's going to be greenhouses, keep it greenhouses. But this 2-story massive septic tank riparian thing, it's endangering the steelhead trout that are in the Arroyo Paradon. And this is just a total scam.
Okay.
I will be following up about the Brown Act violations as well.
Thank you, Maureen, for your comment. Bobby Offen.
Good afternoon. My name is Bobby Offen. I've been involved in many of the active environmental groups in Santa Barbara County for more than 50 years, for more than the 50 years that I've lived in this county. As a citizen watchdog helping to preserve the wildlife of our area, I'm appalled at the size, scope, and blatant disregard for the environment of the Cresco project along the banks of the Arroyo Paradon Creek. This is a watershed and creek that has been designated by NOAA as critical habitat for the migration of steelhead trout to get to their spawning grounds upstream. Even the recent bridge fix on State Highway 192 by Caltrans has been designated, has been designed to enable the migration of the steelhead up and down the Arroyo Paradon. Cresco has completely ignored this important aspect of the environment in their expansive industrial site in this rural landscape. And I'm going to repeat that. This is an expansive industrial site in a rural landscape. Okay, I've reviewed the C7 Wildlife Movement Plan version 2 that you put out, and I see absolutely no reference to any of the Cresco planners have taken to meet the requirements of activity along the banks of a critical habitat designated creek. I believe a permit from the Army Corps of Engineers and others is required that would address management practices of this project with mitigation plans to protect the pathway for recovery of this endangered fish species. I recommend denial of the Cresco plans for this very important reason. Doesn't even matter how tall the building is. You are on the banks of a critical habitat, and you have not addressed that in one single sentence even. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public that would like to speak on this item? I see no other hands. I believe we had some letters maybe that came in yesterday. Josh, can you check the box for that, please?
So, Chris, what do you want me to do?
Oh, are there letters?
Yep, lots of them.
Okay. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that those were acknowledged for the record.
Somebody's gone ape on the raised hand thing over there, Chris.
Oh, so sorry, Maureen, you've spoken already. Do you have something to add briefly?
These photos that you're showing are from my point of view in my neighborhood. So it would be helpful if people looked through them.
Okay. Okay, so as we're flipping through these photos, I think we can bring it back to the board then for comments. Let's see here, Mr. Verdiak.
I really have nothing to add. I have no questions.
Okay, or comments. Okay, Ms. Froscher.
Yeah. I really have issues with the scale of this project, and the height of the building is of the processing plant is too tall in my view. The second story portion is only over a small piece of it. So I think there's other ways to design it to have lower plate heights beneath the upper story. But, you know, we're in a difficult position here because there are so many environmental concerns from the community and so many bigger land use concerns that are not really, and we're not in a position to weigh in on those. But we are in a position to consider the neighborhood compatibility of it, and the scale of it, I don't think is compatible. So
the scale of the
whole project, and you know, I think there's a historical problem that, again, we're part of a process that doesn't deal with this properly, that so many of these greenhouses were unpermitted in the past. And now they come in as an existing as-built. Oh yes, this is already here, just approve it and in fact expand it. And I don't agree with that. But that is part of a Santa Barbara County process that we are stuck in the middle of. But in terms of impacting rural communities, these are not good solutions for the community. So I don't support the scale of this.
Okay, Mr. Peugeot.
Yeah, I went to the site visit and I toured the property. I had seen it before. I I don't have any issues in terms of architectural issues with this building. I think it's good enough. It's very well hidden from the street and from most places. The issues that everybody brings about have nothing to do with architecture and they're issues that the Planning Commission will address. As I said before, if this building was growing flowers or corn or anything else, we would not be, we would not be seeing this type of discussion. We would have seen it come and go through the SBAR review much quicker. We've seen it several times. The last comments, I can read the last comments, is that if the project has been significantly improved, look for opportunities to reduce the height, the site visit is required, increase the landscaping, and study roof color. And I think the applicant has done all of that. So I really don't see any purpose of continuing to this application, to see this application again. We may have different opinions as to what our purview is or what this board should do. I'm pretty clear that we are into landscape and architecture, and this building is acceptable. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Let's see, Ms. Grubb.
So just on the landscape plans, I agree with everyone's comments on a lot of the concerns, the community concerns have been out of our purview. So I'm just gonna stay in our landscape lane on this one. Regarding the tree sizing, it was stated verbally that all the trees were sized up to 48-inch minimums, but the plans show a range from 24 to 48. I do think I went on a site visit too, and I think it's possible for the height of the building to be screened, but it does need those larger size trees to
Okay.
head in that direction.
Yeah, can you bring up that plan, Josh? Because I thought I saw 48s and 60s out along the road anyway.
Out along the road, in the parking lot, it's saying 24s and 36s.
I see. Okay, so your comment would be to upsize?
Yeah, or yeah, because it was just in conflict with what was presented versus what was on the plans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Mr. Bloomer.
I think I'm just going to echo Alex's comments. I don't think I can say it better than he did. And I just want to make sure that, it's really clear that we're not confusing the public, because there seems to be a lot of confusion for some people here about what our purview is and what it isn't. So, with Valerie's comments, I understand that you're not supporting the project based on its height. Maybe perhaps that's what I heard. But that's what we're here. There's height and then there's use, and a lot of the discussion and right, and it's totally out of our purview. Those are, luckily, all the things that Valerie mentioned. There's a place to go with that. It's called the Planning Commission, the Board of Supervisors. That's where that debate should happen. That's where that argument should be heard. That's where the energy should be focused. This board doesn't deal in that. We're given something to review that is by right able to apply for an application, and we're reviewing it for its architectural quality, and that includes landscaping, neighborhood compatibility. But neighborhood compatibility about use, that's not our purview. Neighborhood compatibility about how the architectural character and the landscape, and improving how it functions as a design inside of the very limited scope we can actually do that in. That's another, that needs to be said. So, I think it's just careful that we don't create the impression that this board is somehow neglecting its duty. We have a very narrow range here, so I think it's important that it just keeps getting reiterated, because for people who are in the public, they probably don't participate in this as often as we do, and they may not understand what's happening. And we certainly sympathize with your concerns, and we're listening to you, and we're doing our best work here if it's possible, and we appreciate your scrutiny, but there's a limited amount of purview we have here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I concur also with Alex. I think that I had concerns before the site visit about the height, and I appreciate the applicant reducing the height to 26 from 28. And the view from the street, I guess if there was one thing I might add would be maybe one additional oak, because the only real public view of this is from Foothill there, and with the addition of those trees, that view will be closed down. So as long as, you know, and I'll side with Kaylee too, that the tree sizes for the parking lot should also be increased, but I would add one more oak, probably a 60-inch box out along behind the fence on 192, just to get that immediate screening from the get-go, and maybe even do the planting before all the structures are built, even just to close down that view. So anyway,
Great.
any additional comments from board members?
I have one more that I forgot I wanted to run by the board. There's no proposed change to the fence and gate currently, as I understand it. And it's a very, you know, it's just lath in a chain link. So I wanted to comment that studying the aesthetic elevation of the gate, because it is visible and not screened from Foothill, would be a good thing to study.
Okay. Joe, do you need any clarification on comments?
Oh, I have one other comment, Chris, too.
Okay. Let's go ahead, Val.
That I have a set of the plans that I've been reviewing, and the elevations are labeled as 8 scale, but they're actually 3/32. So there's a lot more volume there than if you would scale those plans than what you would perceive.
Does that change the, you know, the height at all?
Yeah,
or is it just...
so, I mean, it just, in terms of what you look at, when you look at the elevations,
Gotcha.
they're much more massive than what's called out. If you put a scale on it, yeah.
Okay.
Because they're mislabeled.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out. Joe?
Yeah, so so Valerie, for that comment, what would be the comment for that, just to correct the scale?
Yeah, to make the elevations
elevations.
and floor plans consistent scale-wise for anybody that's reviewing the plans.
Okay, got it. Okay, so let's see. I have a question on the tree sizes. So the comment about the tree sizes in the parking lot, that they should be increased. Is there a specific size of pot that should be?
I think we would refer back to a comment, and that was minimum 48.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, they revised one section, but not the whole property, which the comment was regarding the whole property.
Okay, so minimum 48-inch box for parking lot. Okay, for those trees.
It's really for all trees, really. Yeah.
Okay, so for all trees. Okay, I think that's it for the comments, and then the previous comments. It sounds like those were all addressed, so those can go away.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay, and then the last thing, I think just staff wanted to address the one of the comments about the Brown Act violation. That she's asserting that there was a Brown Act violation. So staff just wanted to touch base on that really quick and kind of describe why that there has not been a violation. So Gwen, if you want to jump in, you're welcome.
Thank you, Joe. Great. Yeah, thank you so much. So I just want to clarify, I understand what Maureen said, and Maureen, I'm happy to discuss this more with you outside of the meeting as well, for sure. So at the end of the last SBAR hearing that we had, we were planning to do a group site visit for this project, as you may remember. But due to COVID, the planning and development management team essentially determined that no group site visits will be allowed right now because of COVID-19. So individual SBAR members or up to 2 group up to 2 SBAR members visited the Cresco site, which is not a Brown Act violation. I just want to note that it's typical for SBAR members to visit sites in this fashion due to COVID-19. So hope that clarifies everything. But if you have additional questions about that, feel free to reach out to me or Joe.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. I believe that concludes our comments. So you'll be going on to Planning Commission, and we'll see you back here after that.
Is Marina,
Mr. Chair.
And I'm not sure if we're able to address him now.
Yeah, Maureen, sorry, did you need to?
Yeah, I just heard at least 3 of the board members say that they conducted a site visit. So I'll be looking into this. You don't need to waste your time with it, but a Brown Act violation is a huge problem. I requested this as a member of the public. It's within my purview to do that. It's part of your bylaws. I requested a site visit. I was told I couldn't do a site visit. Any of you could have invited me as a member of the public who was a concerned party onto that site visit. The fact that 3 of you at least have conducted that site visit, I will be looking into this and following up. Brown Act violations there should have at least been, all you would have had to do is issue a notice saying that that was happening, even if the public wasn't allowed. Because you didn't issue any notice of it, that is a Brown Act violation, and I will be following up with that.
Okay, thank you. Defer to the planning staff on that one.
Look, just real quick, Chris, if we may.
Let's just drop it. I mean, I think.
I'm not going to say this. Can we give the planner just a quick second to respond to that, so that that's not just hanging in the air, so we have a balanced discussion here, because that's an opinion that we heard and an assertion, and the planners actually have another version of that the public should hear. Since this is a public hearing, it should be a balanced conversation. That's all I'm asking.
Well, Gwen, if you feel a need to respond, please do.
Yeah, I'll just jump in real quick, Maureen. So I understand your concern. And again, I look forward to chatting with you more about this outside the meeting. But I do just want to say that the site visits from these individual SBAR members took place. It sounds to me like they took place individually. So each SBAR member came to the site, visited the site on their own. And that was consistent with the P&D determination that no group site visits are allowed due to COVID-19. Just to clarify that.
Okay, very good. Thank you all very much. Chris, I know you want to wrap up, but could we just go to sheet A2?
Sure.
Scroll down. It's the floor plan.
Josh? Sorry, I don't want to seem like I'm rushing. I'm actually surprised that we got done this quickly today, considering how we started.
Yeah, can you, one more? Yeah, I think here you can see clearly the portion of the second story. It's over a very small area of the lower story. So I believe that could be designed to lower the height still more without impacting the use of the building, the main floor. I just want that to be clear.
Okay, I can concur with that. All right, any other comments from board members?
Can you get that, Joe?
Wait a second. I think we need to look. I think we need to go to the elevations.
Wait, before you do, this is that second story portion, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to make sure.
Well, I mean, my question is, what's wrong with the building as is? I mean, really, frankly, it's you know, go back to the elevation, which is on the other side plan. And I mean, if one member has issues with the design, well, state that. But I don't think there's anything wrong with this.
I concur. It's totally appropriate for the neighborhood in terms of the architectural character and style, and given what the allowed uses are, it's a pretty good looking building for what it's.
I mean,
typically see. So
Yeah, so I don't think there's, I mean, there's no reason we can't put one member feels that the second story could be reduced.
Right, that's all I'm saying.
If it's one member, if it indicates one member, I just think that, you know, lowering the, right now the proportions are perfectly fine. And I'm just gonna, that's at least is my view as an architect. If somebody else has a dissenting opinion, well, that's fine, but it's not the whole group.
Right, yeah, okay, that's.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Would you just like me to read the comment back to you so you guys can hear what I put?
Yes, that would be wise.
Be easier. Okay, so I have one member believes the height of building at processing plant is too tall and that the second story portion is only over a small section and could be redesigned to allow lower plate heights. They are also concerned that the project scale is not compatible with the surrounding environment.
what was that last part?
Yeah,
They are also concerned that the project, the one member, that the same one member.
It's all the one member.
Yes, just to clarify, make sure they clarify that, because the way it reads, it says if there are also concerns. I mean, that seems to be a general thing. Like, you know.
Okay, so I've changed it to one member is also concerned that the project scale is not compatible with the surrounding environment.
Okay. You want to read the rest of them too while we're at it?
Sure. So there are four more. The next one is increase tree sizes to a minimum 48-inch box. The next one is one additional oak tree to be added along Highway 192 for screening. The next one is study aesthetic elevation of gate along foothill. And then the last one is correct scale. Correct scale on elevations and floor plans to be consistent.
Okay, anyone need to add or clarify anything for those comments? Okay, I think that's it, Joe. Thank you. And thank you to all the applicants and members of the public who came to speak today. And if someone wants to make a motion to adjourn, then we can do so, because that was our last time.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn, yes, second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you all. We'll see you in 2 weeks.